All right, 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to episode 309 of the KBMOD podcast. It is February 11th, 2018. Valentine's Day is just around the corner. And, the podcast is back. I'm back for this episode. Feels good to be back. Had a few minor things happen in my life, but it's good to be here.
Yeah,
and I think this is the first
stick
time
of butter.
I ate a stick of butter. I got food poisoning. I chipped my tooth. I had a baby. Well, I didn't have a baby. Well, I had, but that was like the most minor thing that happened to me over the last 5 weeks. But
You shaved your head.
I shaved my head.
Mhm.
That's right. That's right. A lot has gone down. This is the first time we've all been on the cast together, though. I think, right? And
Yeah,
at least that long, 5, 6 weeks, maybe longer than that.
it's been a
I don't
bit.
know at this
Is
point.
it fair to say that when you don't have the structure and rigor of a weekly podcast in your life, that your life sort of goes off the rails?
It absolutely. I don't even remember. That's what I'm saying. It's like I wasn't even sure. I don't know what today's date is. Not that that's anything new, but it's hard to. I don't even really. Everything's a blur up until the moment that I just am able to say, "Hello, hey everyone, and welcome to episode 309 of the KBMOD," or whatever episode it is. It like snaps me back to reality. I'm like,
Your life.
holy shit! It's like I don't know how to describe it. It's like smelling salts for your life. At least for me, it does. It just feels right. It's amazing.
Let me tell you what happened to me without a KBMOD podcast in my life.
Oh, go ahead.
I ate an
Testify.
extremely cold peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and the crust on the bread was so tough, I actually dislocated my jaw from trying to.
Wait, what?
And I'm not kidding. And it was all because the podcast wasn't here. I'm eating this PB&J that was in the fridge and noticing it's so hard to bite. But you know what? I toughed it out. The next week, my bite did not line up.
Wow.
The root has to come from somewhere.
Wait, I'm just trying to fathom.
It was the most bizarre thing.
That is so bizarre. Because when I think of a peanut butter, like was the bread frozen?
Well, it was refrigerated. And
No, but I refrigerate my bread. Like, it's still bread.
Did the jam
Was
get
it
like
really thick?
I don't know.
it was the crust that was really tough.
Oh my god!
Was the bread
Wow.
past its goodness? Like, was it not like?
I mean, it tasted great.
Did you accidentally eat the plate?
No. Bite down on the plate.
Are you sure you know what bread looks like?
This doesn't sound like bread.
Yeah, it's really tough and brown, and you see it in buildings, right? That's
Bread, yeah.
Oh,
Bread.
But yeah,
That's
that was
painful.
rough. And
Wow.
now my bottom tooth.
Listen to that. When the podcast isn't happening, people literally dislocate their jaws
Exactly.
trying to eat sandwiches. It's
I'm
pandemonium.
glad we started up this soon. I was getting a little worried. I'd have lost the house. Yeah.
Good God. Yeah. Well, I mean, that brings me to my next question. Besides dislocating people's jaws, or your own jaw, Katie, trying to eat a sandwich.
Yeah, I'm beating the fuck out of people. I'm breaking their jaw.
What's been happening, man? What's been going on with you?
Nothing
Anything
crazy.
else?
Just
Yeah.
still settling into a new job. It's been going well.
Good.
Basically, just hovering over my computer, waiting for my pending Twitch emote to go live.
Nice.
And,
Nice.
Yeah.
Have
Nothing
you
serious.
asked Brandon to approve it himself, or? Has that-
Oh, he'll tell me to submit a ticket.
Mhm. As he should, because that's the proper process.
Exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. What about you, Yang? What Brandon? What have you guys been up to?
I've been busy. I was talking about it. I finally managed to stream this year.
Nice.
I've been putting it off for a while. I talked about it a little bit at the beginning of my stream, but we had sort of an internal restructure at the museum in our programming department, which greatly affected my position. The end result,
I almost zoned out and thought you said we hadn't. I thought you said we had an internal restructure at my stream. Sorry.
yeah,
Like, wow.
It's a very formal setting when
Formal
I go
setting.
live.
I'm sorry. Please continue, Ying.
Yeah, it was more or less the end result was that it of all this, which sort of left a bunch of people floating in limbo regarding their jobs and their responsibilities. Nothing like no one was in danger of losing their job, but people were just unsure where they were going to land within the organization. And ended up for me just being sort of a responsibility expansion. And so I've been spending the first part of this month being kind of like stressed out about it because it's weird having a job but not totally knowing exactly what you should be doing in that moment while the leadership team works things out. But that's finally all been settled. I technically have a new job. It's more or less the same. And now that it's all settling down, I'm trying to get back into the swing of streaming for Extra Life consistently. And other than that, I don't know. It's just been enjoying my days off a lot. trying to decompress from this past month, but I'm hoping things will swing back into some kind of a rhythm.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's it.
Gotcha. Good. Sorry, I'm for some reason I'm looking at you talking, and then I thought you muted yourself because I'm watching on the stream. I'm a little tired, all the time. Yeah, I was losing my mind there. Okay. All right. Cool. Sweet. Well, that's good. I mean, I'm glad. I mean, I always get nervous when people say the words restructuring in regards to their job, but I know with you they could never let you go, Yang. But you're going to be you are going to be that museum by the time you're done there. You're going to be the sole person doing everything.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm coordinating in technically four different departments now. So we'll see how this goes.
Good, man. All right. What about you, Brandon? What have you been up to?
Not a whole lot. I mean, it's just sort of normal stuff. We're getting ready to move to a new house pretty soon.
Cool.
So we bought a house, and we're just
congrats. That's awesome.
Trying to plan our move probably next month. So there's been some stuff going on with that, and I mentioned it I think on a previous cast, but I've been trying to get back into guitar. I've been practicing guitar at least a little bit each night, which is I think if I would have done that back in high school, I would probably be pretty good at guitar, but I never practiced enough. And so I was learning, like I was taking lessons and learning all of the theory and stuff, but I didn't practice enough to actually get any good. So I'm trying to rectify that piece of it.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've been doing that, and just been staying busy with work and stuff. So it's never a dull moment.
How are the calluses coming? Are you getting?
They're coming along. Yeah. That's one of the things. That's why I'm trying to play at least a little bit every day, is just to try and get the calluses up. And so they're coming along. It's not too bad. The hardest part is just not picking at your fingers, not having no nervous tics that might disrupt the callus building on your hands. Which for me is a challenge because I have a tick where I'll just sort of be picking at my fingers a little bit, and it's not like it's a big deal, except that it will sort of it makes your fingers then have to heal a little bit instead of build the callus.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, that's I'm trying to work on that right now, and hopefully my playing will get better at the same time as my calluses get stronger, and so I will eventually be better than I am now. That's the goal.
When are we, the real Brandon? So I'm proud of you. Glad you're going to be really upping your skills on the guitar. When are we going to get a stream with you singing and playing guitar at the same time? I mean,
so I don't know about the singing, because that's one of the things I admire most about a lot of rock bands is when the singer can also play guitar. Because I've never been able to do that. I actually don't know how people do it, because my brain just doesn't seem to function that way. So I would love to be able to get to that point where I can at least do sort of some basic rhythm guitar at the same time as I sing. But I think I'm so far from being able to do that, because my hands and my mouth, in terms of singing, just don't work on the same wavelength. So. But I don't know. I may try and maybe if I get some free time, stream some guitar practice, just to kind of hold myself accountable.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So yeah,
are you going to sing to me at TwitchCon?
Well, yes, but that will have nothing to do with my guitar playing. So yeah, I'm actually once we move into the new house and I can I can be a little bit louder, because right now we have some connecting walls where other people live, so. That's actually one of the things I'm looking forward to, is not sharing a wall with anyone, being able to turn the amp up and jam out.
Nice.
So,
cool.
Yeah. Very cool.
What about you,
Yeah,
Scott?
what have I been doing? Yeah, I mean, I've
How's the human that you
the
created?
human. Yes, the human I created is very good. She's over 5 weeks now. It's getting bigger every day. But she's overall a very good baby in the grand scheme of things. She doesn't really cry unless she has a reason to cry, which is really, we got really lucky with this one, which I told Tab, I was like, we're done. We're one and done here because there's no guarantee we're going to get another baby like this. But she's still a baby, and so she still has to wake up every 3 or 4 hours to eat and all that kind of stuff. But it's been good, get a crash course in learning how to take care of a baby. It's been good, and it's been enjoyable. I don't really know what sleeping longer than like 3 hour stretches feels like anymore. 3 or 4 hours sometimes if she's feeling really generous, but it's good. It's good. I'm kind of like, we're kind of out of the first like 2 or 3 weeks are just like a pure haze, I feel like, for most new parents, because you're getting used to everything. But we're definitely feeling a lot more confident and stuff now as she's getting a little bit bigger, a little bit older. Yeah, and it's been good. I've been able to slowly get back into, like, this last week I was able to stream about 5 days this week, which was good. Kind of starting to get a little bit normalcy again, hence me even being on the cast tonight, which sometimes it depends, depending on what her schedule is. But as they get older again, that's the great thing, is like she'll start, like, they tell me, like, in like 3 months, 4 months, they actually sleep through the entire night. I'm like, I'll believe that when I see it. Like, that'll be amazing. I can't imagine.
At least now your expectations are set where, like, if that happens, you'll be super happy, but you're not expecting it.
Exactly. I don't have my hopes up, even though everyone tells me it's like, yeah, like 3-4 months, like they'll be able to start sleeping like 7-8 hours. Yeah, I'm gonna like anticipate it's never going to happen, and then the first time it happens, it'll be the greatest gift I've ever been given. But yeah, it's been cool. It's been good, man. It's just it's still kind of surreal and stuff. But I think one thing, especially if you guys have kids in the future, which I'm sure all of you. Well, I don't want to assume, but who knows? I mean, Katie probably already has kids, and Jacob as well, that we don't know about.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're assuming none of us already have kids. I don't know if that's a safe assumption.
But ones that you actually are not just paying child support on, but actually taking care of. Like when you come home, like the first, especially for guys, like it's so, babies are so little, and like I've never really been around or handled a baby that was that small before. Like I've got like nieces, or not nieces, but I've got like cousins and stuff like that were little, but other than holding them at the hospital and stuff like that, like changing their diaper and doing all that, you're not really trained to do that. And so like the first like week was like, not week, but first like 4 or 5 days is like, you're scared. You're like, oh, I'm going to break her. And then like by like week 2, you're like, babies are extremely resilient. You're not going to break them. Like you feel like you just become a pro and stuff. And anyway, I feel like a lot of that stuff is the first like couple weeks. So it's been nice to have that kind of fade away. And you just start to feel a lot more confident, like as a parent, because it's scary as shit. You're just like, oh God, I don't want to mess up, but it's good to be past that stage. So mentally and just like outlook wise, it's like, it's really picking up, because it's tough. Like there's no question. Like there's times where you're just like, dude, what did we, where you both just look at the tab, and I would just be like, what did we do? What were we thinking? Like, do you remember what life was like before? Like where we would just be like, oh, we're just going to go leave the house. And now it's like, okay, no, well, if we're leaving the house, okay, get the bag. We got to get her in the car seat. Is she fed? Is she going to be fussy? It's all the stuff that like, is going to happen before you have the kid. But it's like, once you're living in it, you're like, oh,
right.
This is why everyone who has babies, it lives in the universe of before they had kids and after they have kids, right? Because that's what it is. There's a true distinction and line right there. So, but it's great, man. I definitely wouldn't change anything. And all the cliches of like, oh, when your daughter looks at you and stuff, it is true. Like it's so worth it. So, you definitely, like, biologically, there's a reason they make babies cute. That's for sure. That's for sure. Because if they weren't cute, we'd be like, what is the point of this? They're so helpless. They're so helpless. It's just amazing that like, as humans, like we come into the world as like the frailest things, but we have the most actual, like, intellectual and like upside. It's crazy. I don't know. But
I know your community joked about it prior to the birth of your daughter, but it is truly remarkable that she actually has your widow's peak. Like
she does.
her hairline is exactly like yours.
It's
and
crazy.
It's amazing.
There is no me denying like that is my kid. Yeah, it's crazy. We were actually at my parents' house earlier today, and my mom whipped out a bunch of the baby photos, and it is just crazy. She looks so much like me as a baby. The one good thing is as her hairline started to come in, it's starting to soften a bit. It's still there, but it's not quite as sharp. Like she can't cut cheese with it right now. So we'll have to see if it maintains as it is. But yeah, she definitely got the widow's peak. So we'll have to see. It's funny because I don't think like my brother and I got the widow's peak, but my sister didn't. So I don't know what that's going to look like on her if she has long hair in the future, but we'll see. So definitely my kid. But yeah, it's great. And like, yeah, the stream and stuff has been super. It's been super cool to be able to, obviously people were super supportive before she got here. They've been super supportive after, understanding with like, okay, like, yeah, I'm going to have to cut the stream short, or I'm going to have to, not stream today, or I'm going to have to stream at like a weird hour or whatever else. But it's been good. Like I said, as things have started to settle down, it's been good. And generally, like I've been able to kind of just get back into the swing of things. So it's definitely, it's the first month or so is just kind of figuring out what the new kind of normal is going to be. And I feel like we're starting to get into a bit of a pattern, which is good for sanity's sake. Cause there's only so long that you can live in that. Like, I don't know what today's going to be like. I don't know what tomorrow's going to be like. So it's nice when that stuff starts calming down a little bit. So
right.
Probably works well too, that you can stream from home. So it's like you're around in case you are needed for like a minute here or there.
Exactly. It does help a lot. Like it's so funny. I was talking to my dad the other day and he's like, I was just thinking about this, is like, you don't ever get to leave though, right? Because he's like, I mean, when I had you guys, I always had either brick and mortar jobs or whatever else. So I would leave for 8 hours or 9 hours. And he's like, that's where I got all my sanity back. And then I would come home and I'd be like, oh, okay, time to help with the baby. And then I'd go to bed and I'd get up and I'd leave again. And I was like, yeah, it's true. And in one aspect, it is, there are certain, there's pros and cons to everything, but it absolutely, like, I wouldn't trade being able to set my own schedule. And like you said, being able to help out here. And also just, I'm around my daughter a lot more than I would be than, if I'm going to a job and being gone for 8 or 9 hours. So yeah, I wouldn't change that. It definitely is super helpful. So
awesome.
It's good. And Tab, like, she'll know, like, if I start looking stir crazy, she'll be like, go ahead. Like, you can leave for a little bit, like, go do something. I try to, it's a little harder for her since she's, like, you'll see once your significant other has a child, but the mommy bear comes out and it's like they do not want to be separated from their cub, which makes a lot of sense. But we're like even just going to my parents or just like doing shopping and stuff, we're starting to get into the swing of things. And so it's been good to be able to get out of the house. So, but yeah, so that's what's been going on with me. So hence my me being away, and it still might be a little bit sporadic, but it's good to finally, like I said, with her on a schedule. I was like, man, we just got to get her on a schedule. And I can get back to being on the podcast and chilling with my boys, dude. I'm telling you, I missed it.
Katie, from breaking more of his body by eating cold food.
Exactly. Yeah. Like being informed on what like the young millennials are up to, like, dislocating their jaws on sandwiches that I thought was entirely safe for my generation.
Yeah, I don't know if I can afford to have you leave again. So.
Yeah, I know. I don't want you to hurt yourself, Katie.
My body.
So yeah, all right. Well, what have we been playing? Or wait, did we have to talk about what we've been eating? I guess.
Was there anything what have you been eating? Like, what is eating like when you have a small child?
Yeah,
are you just are you scarfing down sandwiches, or are you just
Yeah, easy stuff. A lot of it's like easy stuff. Like early on, we had people bring a bunch of different meals, which was helpful. And then since then it's like low impact, like turkey, like a lot of turkey sandwiches, like lunch. You know what I mean? That stuff that you could just make. But then, I've been doing a little bit of like cooking here and there, but nothing too crazy. Like my mom makes really good homemade pizza, so we had that today when we went over to my parents' house, which was good. Nice. She's been doing that a lot of years. But I'm trying to think if I had anything like that really, really stands out recently. I can't think of anything. I'm too crazy. I mean, I did the other thing I mentioned. Well, the Eagles won the fucking Super Bowl. How did I not mention this?
Oh yeah,
that was an incredible.
Waiting for you to slip that in there.
I know. I so much has been going on. I totally forgot. And then I went to the Eagles parade this week as well, which was crazy in downtown on Broad Street, where millions of people went because obviously it was our first Super Bowl. So I went there with my brother, his wife, and my dad. We left it. Wow, it was a long day, but we left at like 7:30 to try. Parade was at 11, but since so many people were descending on the city, we tried to get in to get a spot. And we waited from 7. Like we got in around 8:30, and we stood there till like 12. It was like from 8:30 to almost 1 o'clock before the parade passed in front of us in like 30 degree, 29 degree weather with a wind chill of like, it felt like 10 or something. It was crazy, but it was totally worth it. Yeah, it was fun. It was cool to be able to see the players as they came by, and generally, like everybody was well behaved. The vibe was really neat.
That's good.
So yeah, it's anyway. So that also happened. So but I didn't. Oh, so we had cheesesteaks after that, which is obviously you have to if you're really gonna celebrate an Eagles victory, you have to get cheesesteaks. So, but there wasn't any from anywhere special. But it's just that's the other thing about like that sandwich in this region. You can go to anywhere and get a really good version of it and not have to worry. Like if I'm in LA and someone says they have a Philly cheesesteak, it's usually got fucking Swiss cheese and like mushrooms and some shit on it. I'm like, what the hell are you people doing? So yeah, that was good. But yeah, what about you guys? Any notable things? Katie, I saw your tweet that your dad made. What did he make tonight? It looked
yeah, my mom and dad both. He made a pork Wellington. Yeah, so
it looked good.
I posted a couple pictures. My mom made some Valentine's Day cookies, which she like got really artsy with the icing on it, and it just looks like they're really, really beautiful. So definitely like check those out.
Oh damn, those work fancy. Yeah, I see that. Here,
I don't want to eat them. Like I don't want to ruin them. But I mean they taste great, but can we display it somewhere nice? But no, but yeah,
that pork Wellington looks really good.
Oh yeah, it was delicious. It was perfect. But yeah, so really thankful to live in a house with like a couple of really talented cooks. So
well, you've been you've been up in your cooking game too. I feel like, haven't you? Because I feel like I've seen you tweeting dishes.
Not since the bread incident.
That's since the bread. That kind of dismayed me from but no, the most adventurous I'm being is probably like those noodle meals that you boil. Like I've stepped up from the microwave to the pot boiling water, which is a huge step for me. So I'm really
good. Hey, baby steps,
evolving.
Man. That's good.
Yeah, that's true. So
they actually make kettles where you can just boil the water in the kettle.
Can I get that Amazon link, please?
Yeah, it's a very rare item. It's pretty crazy.
I was gonna say if you're just boiling water, let me blow your mind.
Yeah.
I like to really imagine Katie in front of the stovetop wearing like a scientist lab coat and goggles, like he's trying to boil this water. I don't know what I'm doing.
If I'm not wearing the apron, then there's no hope. It's gonna be catastrophic. Another cool food thing I did. So I have a childhood friend I know from like way back ancient times when I was in Boy Scouts, and his family's really cool. And his mom actually, they're Korean, and she got together with a couple of her friends, and they started their own Korean restaurant close to where we are. And it was an opening night, but it was kind of like a private event, kind of a buffet kind of deal. So it wasn't indicative of how it's going to be when they launch. It was buffet style. It was paper plates. There were kids singing karaoke. Jesus Christ, if they could just stop the karaoke, please. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm not sure, but I'm really hoping they don't transition this karaoke over to when the place launches. Because imagine you're sitting at like a really classy restaurant. You just hear like whatever, screaming children about Justin Timberlake. I don't know. But the food was really good. So I was really happy for them to get that started, because the place was beautiful. And the three women, they did 90% of the building themselves. And it was really admirable that they put it all together. It took a lot of work, a huge investment. Her husband is doing all of the business deals and everything, like contacting, Coca-Cola and everything. But so that's been pretty cool to check out, kind of get a look into that, I don't know, industry. But yeah, I'm really happy for him.
Nice. Very cool.
Katie's in cooking stream. I don't know about
Dude,
that.
that would be amazing.
I don't want to make it on live stream fails yet. I'd like to live it up a bit.
Oh, the other thing, real quick, before we ask Yang or Brandon what they've had. I don't know if any of you has had this. I saw, the Taco Bell's been advertising their fries for quite some time, like at least the past 2 weeks. I was like, I gotta go and I gotta try these because there's Taco Bell right near me. So I went and I got them, and I have to say they were excellent. They were excellent. They come with like a nacho cheese dipping sauce. I don't know what the spices and stuff they use on the outside, but they got a good kick to them. They're not like a plain fry, but they were. I wanted to make sure to eat them like right when they were hot too, because I could tell if they got a little bit soggy. Just like any fry, it wouldn't be quite as good. But I mean, hot and fresh with that sauce, excellent. I definitely recommend if you haven't tried them. I like them.
Where would you rank them in your?
Where would I rank them?
Yeah,
it's a good question. I think also my standards are lower because I don't expect Taco Bell to have fries. So it's possible that I'm rating them higher than I would. But I mean, like I didn't think it was. Let me think of other fast food fries that I like. I mean, they were as good as any. I thought they were very competent fast food fries. I didn't think they were. I don't know. What would I give them? Let's say out of 10, I'd give them like a 7. I give them a 7 out of 10.
Okay,
pretty solid performance. I don't know what my favorite fast food fry is. I'd have to think about that, but they were very decent. So
cool.
Definitely, I don't know. Give them a try and let me know what you guys think. And their commercials for it are amazing. The marketing was half of the reason I wanted to try them. Yeah, they were really solid. They do like this fake movie trailer where this I forget the actor. It's a well-known actor, but he like gets the intel that they're going to be releasing the fry, and then it's like the big burger chains are out to get him. Like they're trying to scare him from trying the fries, and it's like it's really good. And because basically, obviously, Taco Bell is like trying to compete, but yeah. Anyway, give them a try and let me know. I'm always curious. Katie Zen is. I know that you have very strong opinions, having left Yelp reviews about Wendy's before. I would be curious to see what you think.
I was joking that I would leave their Korean restaurant a 1-star review.
Yeah,
just, welcome them to the real world. Just be like, this place sucks dick. Not gonna.
It'd be even better if you gave them a 1-star and said, "I actually really enjoyed the food, but I wanted to welcome this restaurant to the real world." Give them 1 star.
What a shame.
Yeah, what a shame that I have to do this, but this is this is what real people do.
Thank me later.
Yeah. What about you, Yang or Brandon? Any food, any delicacies?
I don't have anything notable yet, but I am going to be attending a mac and cheese festival.
Hold on.
Oh man.
Mac and cheese festival?
Yes.
4 simple words to make your man come.
Yes. I was just going to say that has to be the greatest 4 words in the English language to Brandon.
Well, there's 3 festivals that happen in my city regarding food specifically. There's Mac and Cheese Fest, there's Taco Fest, and there's Pickled Fest. And they're all spread out throughout the year, and they're all the same format. It's maybe 24 restaurants from around the region all get together, and they bring 2 of their best dishes of whatever the fest is. So each restaurant brings 2 varieties of mac and cheese and 2 of their best beer. And you get tickets, and you buy the tickets to go into this festival. And the most popular package is the one that you go in and you pay $80 for these tickets that go to charity. But you can take these tickets to each booth that is owned by each restaurant and get get like a tiny bowl and a tiny pint glass, like a tiny glass for their mac and cheese and beer. And you get enough tickets to go to each booth once.
Oh man.
So,
that sounds...
You're speaking my language.
And that happens 3 times a year, once for mac and cheese, once for tacos, and once for pickled dishes. So ask me this question again later and I'll have a better answer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I expect a detailed report after this.
And you know what? Maybe this will be my first KBMOD article. It'll be a breakdown of all the mac and cheese that I ate on one day.
Oh, I think that'd do very well. I would read that.
Fantastic. I don't think
What
I've had
about you,
anything.
Brandon?
I don't think I've had anything really noteworthy recently. I did have Taco Bell recently, but I didn't really venture outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So,
What's your go-to again? What do you usually? What's your Taco Bell
I mean,
order? Or does it
I
depend?
don't know. I try to if I'm gonna be eating a full meal, I try
Mhm.
and go mostly with like fresco tacos because they're a little bit
Okay.
healthier, and then I'll
Yeah.
get like one thing that's not healthy.
That's
So
a
like
little naughty.
like a
Yeah,
Crunchwrap
one little naughty.
Supreme or something.
Yes.
You know, something
Oh, you
where
gotta. Mhm.
so actually,
Hell
what did
yeah.
I have? I think I had like a cheesy gordita crunch when I went there.
Ooh, nice.
And those are really good, but you know, terrible for you.
Yes.
I don't think maybe I didn't see the fries being marketed. I probably wouldn't have gotten them, but you know, I'm game for occasional like new Taco Bell products, especially with the naked chicken chips. You know, being I would say a pretty good experiment. But I didn't have those.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
nothing special.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're somebody who you should try. I mean, again, I don't know how long they'll be around, but I'd be curious for your guys' take on them because
Yeah, I'm
I
not
thought
a
they were
huge
decent for
fries
what they were.
person, so it's.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why that wouldn't normally be something I order, but I could see ordering them for the novelty,
Yeah, exactly.
just to see if Taco Bell can stand up to actual
Right.
burger chains.
Right.
But
Okay.
I what we've been gaming though.
Yes.
I have
Go
been
ahead.
playing. I have been playing a little bit since we've been on a little break here. I've been playing more They Are Billions, and that game is
Oh, yeah.
really fun, but it can be so infuriating sometimes
Mhm,
because the way it works, if literally a single zombie gets into your base, it's done.
You're
It's
screwed.
completely
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
And so you have to actually have guys patrolling every single potential open spot around your base. And so even when I've had guys patrolling what I thought was every angle, there's still like a zombie will get in and it will just, you basically waste like an hour because there's a lot of buildup, right? The rounds are, 3 to 4 hours total if you get to
Right.
the end. So it's just it's like so frustrating when you have a good start and you're like 30 45 minutes in and then like one single zombie comes in. But I guess that's like sort of part of the game, but also I kind of hope that maybe they make it a little bit easier just to, I don't know, to like recover from one or two zombies, because I feel like right now it's pretty much impossible. Like just literally one single basic zombie can ruin your game.
I mean, like what happens, right, is they'll get to your houses, and if they take down one house, it spawns like 7 or 8.
If they take down a house, literally no chance.
Yeah.
But even if they take down just like a basic like a tower building or something,
Right.
it will still spawn a couple zombies, and like it spirals out of control because your buildings are so close to each other, and it only takes them a couple seconds to to take a building out. But that game's been really fun. Like I am glad that there exists now an RTS where you're basically just playing against the computer. It's you can pause it, you can come back to it later. So I've been playing that game a fair bit because I can play it for 30 minutes or an hour, and then come back to it the next day, which has been fun.
Nice.
So I've been really enjoying that, even though I am really bad at it. Like I've been watching Twitch streams to try and get a little bit better and see if I'm maybe missing some tactics or something. But it is just a very tough game. I'm playing on 60% difficulty, and I've only made it to the end of the game once. And at the end, I don't think this is really spoiling anything, but like basically zombies come from everywhere. There's a massive horde. They come from every direction. So I got to the end of the game, but I was not even close to surviving the last wave. Like I was completely decimated. So I still have yet to, I've won once on like almost the easiest difficulty.
Right.
But ratcheting up from there, I have not even been close to winning yet, which is a little bit of an ego, an ego downer. When I see people on Twitch playing like 300, 400, 500% difficulty, and 60% is kind of pushing it for me.
Right.
But other game I've been playing a lot, as I mentioned, practicing guitar, is I bought Rocksmith, and I just recently discovered the incredible world of like custom fan-made Rocksmith songs.
Yes. Oh yeah,
which I
nice.
should have realized before I even bought the game that was a thing, but I didn't. And so I was playing Rocksmith, and I was like, yeah, this game's cool, fine, but the song selection is not really in line with a lot of my musical tastes. It's like a lot of kind of pop type stuff, maybe some classic rock. There's not a whole lot of like hard rock metal type stuff. But I discovered that there is a whole bunch of fan-made stuff out there. So I spent, like a few hours basically going through some of that, and then downloading the songs, installing them, and so Rocksmith has been a lot more fun since I discovered all these
cool.
fan-made songs.
Yeah,
and so I now have a much bigger library of songs that I actually want to learn and play. Like stuff by like Tool and Metallica and Trivium and all these bands that I actually like. I want to learn the songs for.
Coheed. Yeah.
Exactly. So so that's been super fun. And now that I have like a really long backlog of songs to learn. So I anticipate playing Rocksmith quite a bit. Like with that addition, it's been probably some of the best $60 I've spent. Because it basically becomes a really great learning tool when you have a specific song you want to learn. And so I spent like a couple hours the other night just like learning one song all the way through. And the really neat thing I like about Rocksmith, which like makes sense because it's a video game, but it changes the tone of your guitar depending on where you are in the song. So if you have a song that switches back and forth between like acoustic sounds and then goes heavier and then switches back to acoustic, it does all of that for you. So you actually can get the feeling like you're playing that real song without having to mess with like a pedal that changes your tone and all that. So that's been one of the neatest parts for me, is just like sort of playing along with the song, and it switches the distortion and all the effects for you so that your song, kind of sounds like the real thing. So that's been super fun.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay. What about you, Katie? What have you been playing?
I got to play quite a bit these past couple weeks. I've just been trying to finish up the backlog, played a couple new things. In the time between last podcast to literally last night, I managed to, well, not really the entire series, but I marathoned the main 3 God of War games.
Yes.
To kind of get ready for the 4th one. And those have just been really, really good action games that still like really hold up. God of War 1 is like 13 years old and it still is good. And that's just a series that consistently gets better and better. And by the time you're at the 3rd one, which came out in 2010, and playing it on PS4 in the remaster still looks so damn good today. It was really surprising, and it was just a great send off for the series.
When I just realized that 2010 was 8 years ago.
I know, dude. Oh my god. Yeah, it's the stuff that they accomplish in that game for the time, like the sense of scale. I mean, without really spoiling anything, but it was phenomenal. And I'm extremely cautiously optimistic for the 4th one.
For the new one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have no doubt it'll be a good game. But it just doesn't seem like God of War to me. It seems like they just threw Kratos into this world, because it doesn't seem like anything that God of War for shows its face here. Like it doesn't seem like it's going to get really exceedingly brutal. I really don't see them doing a sex minigame in this one with the little boy following him around everywhere. But I mean, I'm still going to play it. I'm probably still going to enjoy it. It makes me sad that they scrubbed the original voice actor for Kratos, because apparently it's because they wanted to do a mocap, and the guy who has this deep, incredible voice for Kratos, like, he's a pretty scrawny guy, and they just couldn't do him for the mocap. So now the guy is just trying his best to sound like T.C. Carson, his voice. So it's a little disappointing, but I'm sure the game will be fun. So that was good. Other than that, I played a lot more. I don't know if I talked about this since the game released. I know I talked about the beta, but Dragon Ball FighterZ came out, and
yeah, I know people have been liking that.
Oh yeah, that's one of the best fighting games that's come out in a long time, in my opinion. It's really blown away my expectations as far as like like what you can visually do in a fighting game, and then also it's really deceivingly. It's really deep. The combat isn't, you think of anime fighters like this, you think of, not that much depth, like a lot of infinites coming out, and you can do that, but there are a surprising number of like subsystems that play here, and it's a really deep fighting game, and it's just, I've never seen any Dragon Ball, but I mean, I know the characters just from, talking to other people, like friends of mine who, grew up watching Dragon Ball. So I felt like I still kind of knew everything that was going on and could appreciate all the fan service they were doing. And yeah, it's just incredibly fun. Really good game. And I'll talk about, actually, I remembered something I want to add to Quick Hits. I'll throw it in when we, at one point, but I'll talk more about that in a second. But yeah, that's been really fun. And lastly, the only other thing I really put a lot of time into, even though not like a crazy amount, I still haven't beat it, but the Shadow of the Colossus remake came out a few days ago, and which is more than just a remaster. They completely redid the game from the ground up, and it's phenomenal. It is such an incredibly good game. It took a game that was like, man, this game's so good, it's an experience, and they took it into, holy shit, this game is blowing my mind in ways like I don't even remember it doing. Like, well, I'm only 5 Colossi deep, which I actually never finished it on PS2, but it's still, I'm glad it didn't launch at 60, because I feel like if it did, a lot of people would, despite it being well worth 60 for the game, in my opinion, a lot of people wouldn't try it out. But for 40, definitely pick it up. If you haven't played Shadow of the Colossus, it is an essential game to play, and this is the best way to play it by far. So I can't recommend it more. It's, man, I'm coming.
Some great clips going around of like glitches in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
my
some
favorite part
where they spin out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, those are pretty good. Not intended, You can enjoy the game in a number of different ways, being the glitches too. But yeah, it's fucking love that game. Yeah, that's about it.
Cool. All right. What about you, Ying? What you been playing?
I've been playing a little bit of Battalion 1944.
That's right. Yes.
Mostly because it's one of those games. I feel like it came out of nowhere. Like, I didn't hear about it until maybe like a little over a week before its early access release. But it was pitched. If you're not familiar with it, it was pitched very hard as reminiscent of the old Call of Duty Pro Mod. Had all the tools built into it for competitive play. And I mean, I don't come from a very heavy COD background. But my interest in it was, from the idea of a competitive shooter that isn't Counter-Strike. And of course, it plays not really anything like Counter-Strike, but it is, I'd say it's a very, in terms of competitive aspects, I mean, there's already tournaments running for this game. People are already figuring out and developing metas for competitive play, and it's pretty crazy to watch. The game feels good. It had issues with servers at launch, but I mean, I don't know if any of that was like unexpected, given that they had 3 or 4 times the amount of people trying to play than they were anticipating from their closed beta. I think the game overall, like I enjoy the game, but I think overall it's really going to appeal to people who miss classic Call of Duty, because it has all of those aspects to it that are basically COD Pro Mod. And it's fun. I don't know if it's for me specifically, but I can see this developing into a much larger scene, especially given that there's already been some like pretty well-made tournaments on the game. And aside from Battalion, I did recently take like a proper dive into and finally beat the game, Dark Souls 3, which is not a game I had ever had any investment into. It's not a series that I followed. I was aware of it, and finally, after I don't know 3 or 4 years of people saying you got to play Dark Souls, I finally gave in. I purchased it actually last year and never really played it, and then earlier in January I finally started to play it, and I'm in. I like it. I like the universe that it more than anything else. I'm not really sold on the difficulty of the game. A lot of people like really rave about the sense of accomplishment in beating a boss and making your way through all these difficult areas. I like the boss design. I am not really a fan of how they do, I guess, the more common enemies, because when you get beat by a boss, it feels like you have something to learn from that that's unique and interesting. I feel like when you get beat by a mob, you kind of got unlucky because they'll hit you, it'll stun you, and you can't really do anything, and then another one will hit you, and you get trapped in a corner, and the camera gets stuck on something. I don't get the same satisfaction of like I have something to lose when a mob beats me instead of a boss. But I know that a lot of Dark Souls 3 people or Dark Souls fans are going to disagree with me on that, saying that of course you have something to learn from the mobs. You have to play a certain way, you have to get around it a certain way. But I overall enjoy the game a lot. I still have to play the DLC, which I hear.
Yes, definitely.
I hear the Ringed City is very good. So I'm looking forward to that. Overall, I like the game. But yeah, I think that's maybe the one gripe I have about it. It's not really a gripe. I'm trying to nitpick. Katie had a very dramatic zoom in on his face while I was complaining about mob deaths. So I would really like for him to elaborate on that.
I was just going to say, I was watching Katie's face as we're starting to talk about Dark Souls, because I could feel his butthole pucker
Yeah, just from here. Yeah.
just waiting for your review of that franchise. But yeah.
No, I mean, that's a solid complaint. We all need to get good at some point, and no, I'm just playing. That's a legitimate.
I know the point is like you die and you learn from it, but I didn't feel like if I die to a boss, I feel like okay, cool. Like I know how to learn from this. I know there's an end goal. Me getting stun locked into a corner just doesn't really feel like I have a lot to learn from.
Right.
Like that feels like I dodged one attack, but the other guy timed it just right that he happened to catch me out of a roll. And
yeah, exactly.
Like there is a little bit to learn, but it's not as rewarding as when you learn from dying to a boss, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, the way I kind of see it is Dark Souls, and the most extreme case of this was definitely Dark Souls 2, where what can really sour the difficulty balance in that game is when they tone up the amount of enemies to a really stupid degree. Like 3 did it a few times, 2 did it a lot, like where they would increase difficulty just by including more of the same enemy. And so things like stun locking like that. Is that kind of what you're talking about? I mean,
yeah, like I'm not saying that getting killed by mobs means there's nothing to learn from it. I'm saying it's not a satisfying lesson where it's like, okay, I now know that I have to dodge this boss's phase in a certain way, or I know he switches up his tempo here. This is just like, I got to make sure I roll a whole bunch and avoid and kite this enemy. Like it's not, getting around it is not satisfying, and learning the lesson and employing that is not satisfying in the same way that beating a boss is.
Yeah, it's kind of like in WoW when you're in a raid and you want to get to the boss, but there's a ton of trash mobs, and like dying to the trash mobs, no one has fun with that. Like you don't want that to be the hard part of the game that takes you a while. You want to get in on the bosses where you feel like you can make progress and learn from the mistakes or the different phases.
Right. Because expanding more on like when we talked about just like rolling, because that kind of reminded me, like with 3, it really took a cue from Bloodborne, where they decreased overall like stamina consumption for rolls and everything, and with the speed of the game being a lot higher. Because Dark Souls 1, everything a lot slower, a lot more methodical, and a lot more about reading moves. But in 3 and Bloodborne 3 especially, there's a much higher tendency for enemies to throw out much faster attacks. The player is much faster, which is to like accommodate for that. So yeah, now I think about it, a lot of 3 came down to like there's a lot more sporadic rolling in the 3rd one to just dodge like really overwhelming attacks, instead of like how I was in Dark Souls 1 or Demon Souls, where you're playing it really slow and looking for that opening like you should be doing against like bosses and everything. So yeah, I could definitely see that.
Right. I mean, again, overall, I had a very positive experience with the game, but that's really the 2 I've been playing. I got a chance to play Battalion, and then I've been sinking time into Dark Souls 3, and now just biding time until I can find the time to play the DLC properly and sit down and try to grind through that.
Gotcha.
Speaking of Dark Souls 3, if you want to check it out, Humble Bundle, their Humble Monthly thing they're doing is right now you can get Dark Souls 3 with the first of 2 DLCs for only $12. And then at the end of the month, you get the rest of the Humble Bundle Monthly, which are 90% of the time a really, really great value of, not like garbage Steam games. So it's definitely worth it if you want to get into that and get surprised later this month.
Nice.
Just wanted to throw that in there.
Awesome. And I'll go real quick. I just wanted to jump in. I mean, the thing that I'm playing the most that's newish is definitely Battalion 1944. And I think it's great. I love it. It's super competitive. It's already going to have a pretty diehard competitive scene because it's pulling in kind of what you said, Yang. It's basically made for the pro mod and people that played even Call of Duty 2 and some of those other ones competitively. So I know that's like a smaller part of the market, but I think one thing that CS has done with its popularity has helped games like Battalion, which come out, because again, the similarities kind of end with the game type is basically 5v5 diffuse, which is fine, but it kind of ends there as far as like mechanics. It plays much more like a pro mod, a very fast Call of Duty. But because people are so familiar and enjoy that the Counter-Strike diffuse game mode, people that wouldn't normally necessarily be interested in something that's touted as a competitive Call of Duty like shooter, really stripped down, no kill streaks and stuff like that, are coming over and playing this game, which I think it explains a lot of the demand. And so I think you're gonna have a lot of younger kids and people that wouldn't normally be into this if Counter-Strike wasn't so popular and hadn't got to the point that it had, that'll now play Battalion. I think it's benefiting from that. And again, it's not perfect. It has a few things here and there that they need to work on, but I mean, the competitive aspect is built into it off the ground, which is great. There's already, like you said, been a bunch of tournaments. I literally liked it so much. I literally went out and got a private server, and we've been doing 10-mans on there. It's and it's priced right. I mean, it was on sale for like $12 or $13.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
yeah.
I think the price is the most impressive part to me. That they're like full price
really
is
good.
$15. So it's definitely something where people will pick it up, because if you want to play it with your friend for a day or two, like you can still get $15 worth of value out of that.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah,
Really,
and I think it's good. I think it's exciting to have, because again, Call of Duty, this game is, if it is able to be as successful as I think it can be, and I don't think it's going to be overnight. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, but this is a game that has the potential to be huge, because you're going to get, because Call of Duty is a game where if you're playing the vanilla Call of Duties that come out every single year, what is always the gripe? It's like, okay, well, what fucking version of the game are we going to have to learn and play right now for the pro scene, right? And again, I don't think that will necessarily change, because you've got Activision behind that with all that money. But a game like this now offers the stability of Counter-Strike, where, of course, Counter-Strike is updated, but the core game and the version that we play, other than patching the weapons or changing the map, stays the same. And you're going to get that kind of steady development now in a game that's not going to change and be totally different in every iteration like Call of Duty is. And so the people that want a Call of Duty fast playing competitive experience can play Battalion on the PC and know that they'll be able to stick with this game for a long time and continue to be good, and not be like, oh, I played COD Ghost and now I'm playing a fucking World War II version, and now you know what I mean? Because that is something that I feel like people complain about a lot. So I mean, I think it's set up right now to be really successful, and I think part of the reason they're shocked, they were kind of overwhelmed with the obviously like the server and stuff were issues when it launched, but like the core game that they have there is, I think, is really good and really satisfying, and I think it's going to be, again, I don't want to make any predictions, but I think it definitely could slide in to a part of the esports market that isn't really being tapped right now by anything. So
yeah, I think I feel like there is definitely demand for a game that has the cadence of a Counter-Strike, and that it's pretty predictable. If you get good at it right now, there's a good chance you will still be very good at it in a year or two. And like you said, I think people do get that fatigue of a game that changes so often, or in the case of Call of Duty, I mean, it's literally a different game every year. It'll be interesting to see if there is real demand for another experience like that, sort of a Call of Duty that doesn't change. And it sounds, I mean, I'm glad they've done really well off the start. And I think if they can, smooth out the rough edges and then have like a clean launch, because I think they're in early access, right?
Yeah.
So I think, I think there will probably be a lot of people who will maybe keep an eye on it, and even $15 because it's in early access. Some people may be a little bit hesitant, but if they can have like a really strong early access, have a sort of a vibrant community, and then do a full launch, I think that I hope a game like that can be successful, especially because some of the just thinking about this recently, some of the shooters that have come out recently have sort of fizzled out, except for, you know, like PUBG, Fortnite, kind of the battle royale stuff. But you look at like Quake Champions, and I was reminded recently of Unreal Tournament. Like Unreal Tournament was supposed to like come out and supposed to have a marketplace. I don't know where that game is now. But you know, some of these games that you would expect to do well because they kind of hit on the nostalgia, but they're sort of almost remastered versions of these old games that people loved, you know, haven't really done anything. I mean, like Quake Champions, I don't think you can call Quake Champions a resounding success. Like, there's not really a huge community about that. You're not really hearing a ton about it. So I hope that there is a game that can get a lasting player base, and you know, it would be cool if it was an indie title that was trying to hark back to the days of Pro Mod. Like, that would be really neat.
Definitely.
I hope it does well. I was on YouTube and I saw that IGN uploaded gameplay for Battalion, and just seeing the IGN comment section unleash upon this game. First of all, the clip they put up, the guy was terrible, maybe got 2 kills. Some of these comments are just so frustrating. Yeah, I'm sorry, but we hold our video games to a higher standard. Improve everything, then we will talk.
Wow.
It's just, oh my God.
What I argue with that? Improve everything, then we'll talk.
The graphics are from 1944. Someone said.
Dropping that. Yeah, that's the thing, is like people don't and that's what, because some people were saying that people come to my stream and be like, wow, what are these graphics from a PS2 game? I'm like, this game was not made for like I don't want to say it wasn't made for people like them, but it's made for the diehard audience that they know that they would be able to bring to the game, which have already given life has given a crazy amount of life to the game, because it's bringing back all these old names from Pro Mod, and you know, so it builds off of that diehard base. And then, like I'm saying, like me playing it and other people who have never played it before are really enjoying it because we like Counter-Strike and we like other stuff. I think they have the potential to continue to grow it. But yeah, people look at that and they go like, this is supposed to compete with Call of Duty? Like, no, it's not supposed to compete with vanilla Call of Duty. It's supposed to remind people of a really competitive version of the game that was basically called Pro Mod. And, you know, a lot of people just don't understand that. And so like even like the performance of it, it's streamlined to try to be run efficiently as possible. And at least on my machine, it runs really well. I don't know. There's definitely some crashing things, and they're still in early access. So it's not perfect, but they definitely, like, all the UI options, I mean, you can set that thing to look like, I mean, it can look like a fucking Wii game if you really wanted to make it, you know, run well.
Right.
So,
say that's how old games used to work. Is like you can set the graphic settings, but then you pull down the console. I mean, I remember playing Enemy Territory, like, you know, it was a fine looking game for its time, but a lot of the competitive players would pull down the console and change a bunch of the, like, you know, the Quake engine settings, and that game, you could make that game look like garbage. And that's how a lot of these of the competitive players played, because it was like you get the visual artifacts out of the way, and you know, you're a better competitive player because of that. So it's I think it seems like it is starting out with sort of a marketing message that really hits on a pretty niche audience. But also, I mean, in 2018, like, I would have thought PUBG was hitting a niche audience, and like that exploded. So I think it would be really cool if a game like that actually does get a hardcore following, but then can maybe turn it into something more. And you know, the romantic idealist in me wants to believe that there could be kind of a first-person shooter renaissance started by games like this.
Totally agree. Speaking of first-person shooter renaissance, I don't know, that's kind of a segue, but speaking of more first-person shooters, real quick before we get into the news here, because we need to, I also have been playing this game called The Hunt Showdown, which is by the people over at Crytek, which, and from what I can gather, they've been working on this thing for 2+ years, and this is like one of their like final, I don't know, I constantly see in chat people are like, if this doesn't work for Crytek, they're done, because they've been putting a lot of time into this. And I have to say, The Hunt Showdown is a fucking brilliant idea, and so far it seems to be executed really well. I was able to get some, I guess it's an early, I think it's an alpha still. I don't even think it's a beta yet. It's a closed alpha, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, if you haven't seen it or don't know anything about it, the idea is you are dropped into this world either solo or with another player. It's kind of like Time period, think like I don't know, like Western, I guess. I don't know exactly when it's supposed to be, but 1800s, wagons, cowboy looking dudes with that kind of revolvers and rifles. And you play, so you get dropped into a map and there's 10 people total. And so it's PvE and PvP. And as you get dropped in, and there's zombies everywhere, and different kinds of infected. And your whole goal is to find these 3 clues to be able to basically kill this monster. And the way that you get points, and there's a couple different ways to do it, but once you find the 3 clues and are able to identify the boss basically that you have to kill, you kill the boss, and then you have to banish his soul to hell. I know this is confusing. You banish his soul to hell, and then during that time period, all of the players on the map can see where that's happening from. And it basically creates this crazy, there's all kinds of crazy situations that happen. So you're dealing with all of the zombies, so the PvE stuff, trying to stay alive. You're dealing with trying to figure out, do you want to be the one to kill the boss while other players are also possibly going to kill you? Do you just want to lurk and kind of wait until the end of the game to try to steal the thing that the boss drops from the people trying to exit the map? Because the way that you basically win the game is you have to extract with the stuff that you've taken, and then it also has permadeath. So your character, which you build up over time, if he dies in the game, you have to restart. You have to recruit somebody else and start from zero. So it's kind of got like a Escape from Tarkov elements with a couple of other things, and it's once you kind of get the hang of it, it's crazy. It's really, really intense. I really like the gunplay. It's on the Crytek. It's on the CryEngine, so it looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's really, I think it's going to be a game, hopefully, that has some legs. They're going to definitely have to. Right now, there's only, I think, 1 map, and there's 2 different boss types that you can experience. One's a spider that's super creepy, and then one's this massive, I forget what it's called. It's called the Butcher. It's like a pig man thing. That's pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Atmospherically, that game is incredible. Like watching you stream it, it really like puts you into this dark, creepy world.
It does, yeah. It's really, really terrifying. And I just, again, like I said in the alpha, it's really fun to play with somebody else. But even if you play solo, when you drop in, it's so satisfying. Like stalk a team of dudes and like kill them. I don't know. I just keep your eye on this game. Keep it in the back of your mind. It's kind of, again, keys. I mean, I think you can go on the website and just request a key. You might get lucky and get one.
You have to sign up for a key, and then they're releasing them in waves, which they are still doing. I think they're doing it 1 wave or 2 waves a week or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just huntshowdown.com.
Hunt Showdown. Yeah. So definitely do that if you're at all interested in what you hear. It's a crazy experience. It's
just as a heads up, though, and I'm sure this is not. I mean, there's a whole article written about this, and I really don't. I see it as a non-issue because, of course, this is going to change. At the moment, the work in progress recommends a GTX 970 as a minimum.
It does. It does. It's a hog. It's pretty. Yeah. I mean, you can run so. Yeah, it's a Crytek game, and right now they're not really all the stuff that you can change. There's a few settings you can change via console, but there's like no graphic settings options at the moment. It's like you go in and you can like turn off motion blur, and that's about it. So if you are going to lower it, you have to use. But again, then sometimes it makes the game unstable. So totally agree. It's hopefully, obviously, this is just an alpha. I'm sure they'll improve that as it goes.
Oh yeah. I have no doubt. Like, this game could not launch with a recommended 970. The actual recommended specs are it's an Intel i5, 12 gigabytes of RAM, GTX 970. Like that's not necessarily reasonable to launch with, but just at the moment, if you are going to sign up for that alpha, just be aware that that is currently what their requirements are.
Yep. But definitely one of my favorite experiences, and I think it's going to be a big seller, and I'm excited to see what else they kind of released and what they do with it. It has so many cool elements from other, like it's such a cool hodgepodge of like multiplayer FPS, PvE, like just the whole kind of risk reward system of like, because you could even be in a situation like, let's say you've got a guy that you survived 20 or 30 games and he's like max level and he has all these things unlocked, and you're trying to decide, like, you're the last one alive and in your group or something like that. And it's like, do you continue to risk it if you're like, and go in a hot LZ and possibly die? Do you just extract with the kills and stuff that you've gotten so far. So anyway, there's a lot of strategy and stuff to the game, I feel like, later on as you kind of continue to develop your characters, which is kind of cool. But yeah, anyway, so that was a long what we've been playing section, but it was good. I mean, there hasn't been a cast for a little bit, so let's jump in though into some news here. So speaking of a GTX 970 as a minimum spec, that's really not what anybody's looking for, right? You could probably get a GTX 970.
That might be all you can get your hands on right now.
Perfect, Brandon. Perfect. Yeah, those are probably fine. But the NVIDIA CEO, I'm just going to read the quote. He said, "We're doing everything we can to increase GPU supply." And we've talked about this in the past quite a bit. But with the crazy rise of cryptocurrency has come, crypto miners who are basically monopolizing the GPU market and making it, Brandon, basically impossible to build an affordable PC.
Yeah, it's been really rough. We've talked about it before, but it hasn't really gotten any better. And and you see like those tweets going around and stuff with screenshots of people, talking about crypto miners ordering dozens at a time. Right. And basically like video cards are out of stock everywhere. I mean, they're out of stock online. People tweeting screenshot or photos of Micro Center and Best Buy, completely out of all video cards. And it's been really bad. So bad that actually, like right now, it is sometimes a better deal to buy a pre-built PC. Like right now, because of this issue with GPUs, you can actually get a better price buying a pre-built in some cases than you can buying all the parts yourself because of this video card problem. So I mean, it's nice to see at least NVIDIA is aware of it, and I mean, I have to think they're like happy in one regard because they're selling an incredible amount of video cards.
Everything. Yeah.
But also, it's sort of hurting. It is sort of hurting their reputation right now, where they're basically doing nothing to make sure that gamers get these cards. They're basically, all these cards are being sold to crypto miners, and that doesn't really do that. There is an argument that's maybe bad for the long-term health of the video card industry, because in a year or two, or I don't know, a month or two, given cryptocurrency's crazy volatility, people are going to be putting these cards on the market at a huge discount. And so it's possible that we get a market flooded with a bunch of used cards, and so that could really hurt the demand for new cards in the future. We don't know, but it seems like they're starting to implement policies like only letting people buy a single card at a time from retailers. I've also seen them selling like motherboard and video card combos. Which crypto miners aren't using gaming motherboards, so that's another way to basically ensure that only people building gaming systems are buying these cards. So there's a lot of things that they seem to be taking measures slowly to stop the craziness. But yeah, it's been honestly wild. Like I've never seen, I don't think I've seen anything like this, but since I've been building PCs. Like I have never seen video card prices this out of control, and it's really disheartening because I don't want to tell people to buy a pre-built PC, but I mean right now that is probably the smart move, unless you're willing to wait a little while or go with a really low spec GPU, which obviously is not great. So hopefully NVIDIA and AMD both can implement some of those things with retailers to make sure that people can actually buy cards. But it's been really tough. Like last build guides, it was very tough to even find any like 1070s or 1080s in stock. And the ones I did find were marked up from MSRP and, are usually like from brands you wouldn't necessarily prefer to buy from. Anyway, it's nice to see that the CEO at least recognizes its problem and claims to want to help us out, but I haven't seen that much in action so far. Like stuff is still out of stock and crazy. So let's hope that in the next month or two that things kind of calm down.
Yeah. it is interesting too in that article. It said, but they said like they can't put any official restrictions in place to ensure players get priority. But like you said, they can do stuff like packaging
basically
it
they
and
can
just trying to
they
get
can
creative.
do all sorts of things that sort of that wouldn't make financial sense for a crypto mining rig. So they can do enough to make sure that they stop running out of cards. Like right now, I think the problem is that I think they kind of got hit by surprise and were out of stock and basically continue to be out of stock before they had policies in place for this stuff. Like normally you wouldn't ever limit the number of cards someone can buy because obviously they're in the market of selling video cards. So I can't blame them too much for not having those policies in place beforehand, but it really has gotten out of control. So so I do hope that they're able to keep some of this stuff in the hands of people that are actually looking to buy and build real systems and not just stick them in server farms.
Yeah. Well,
speaking of needing server farms.
Yes. God damn it. I didn't know if you were going to take it or not, but that was perfect.
Fortnite.
Yes.
Fortnite has seems like it's been kind of setting the world on fire recently, and they had a service outage and then made a post-mortem about this outage that was a little bit interesting for a post-mortem, and that it sort of pat themselves on the back for the reason for the post-mortem. But they apparently, according to them, they hit 3.4 million concurrent players on Fortnite, which basically caused a bunch of outages because they weren't prepared to handle that level of load. But that's a pretty crazy thing. People were obviously reporting that they surpassed PUBG in terms of concurrence, which is definitely noteworthy. But it should be noted too that Fortnite is free to play, whereas PUBG is a $30 game. So not exactly apples to apples, but still, 3.4 million concurrents is nothing to sneeze at, and frankly is just wild to me that Fortnite has hit those numbers so quickly. Like I knew Fortnite was doing well, but that is, they're quickly like one of the biggest games out there. And it's been kind of like quietly, I don't know, I just feel like it's been quietly coming up to now compete with the big dogs, really.
Yeah. No, that's crazy numbers. If 3.4 million concurrent is actually true, which we can't verify. Sure, there's lots of stats in this, but I can make, anybody can doctor screenshots, which again, I don't have any reason to say that they're doing that.
We can safely assume, even if that 3.4 number is maybe generous or something, like it's at least like probably well over 1 million, 1.5 million. Like it's clearly large numbers.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. But again, Fortnite, it's what I said about Fortnite when I was playing it before it even like blew up, like way back in the day when we were playing it. The game it's a joy to play. It runs well. They haven't fucked it with, like, obviously there's been a lot of server issues and stuff as the game has gotten this big, and obviously that's what they're addressing with this post-mortem. But they're way further along with the engine than the PUBG devs are, because they made a game. Let's not forget, they spent all this time on this fucking stupid idea of this Minecraft base building zombie defense shit, and no one wanted to play. Like by the time they were done, it sounded cool 3 years ago when they started, but then when it came out, people were like, okay, like what? Why would I care about this? But they pivoted, to their credit, into the battle royale. And again, we were skeptical when it first happened, and I played it and I was like, shit, this is really good. And they continue to improve on that. And so, is this one of the greatest pivots in gaming history?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Name a better.
Easily one of the most opportunistic successes of just like seeing quickly where there's clear demand in the market, and this market can support more than one player.
Right.
And just basically changing the whole game in a hurry. And I think you're right that the engine is good enough, the performance is there, and the game is good enough that it gets people playing it, and they've just snowballed.
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, because you can pivot. Like, it's one thing to pivot and then, have a mediocre product or something that's not really going to work. But to put out a product of this quality that continues to have this kind of success is really crazy. But so more power to them. I mean, I think it's great, and we'll have to see. I mean, again, remember when we were talking about PUBG being like, oh, what are they going to top out at? I don't know. I guess we got to start having that conversation about Fortnite. Any idea? Like, we should check what the PUBG numbers are. Again, PUBG's on Xbox as well, so I guess those numbers aren't going to be included in the Steam stuff. So we can't be 100% sure.
Yeah, that's the thing too.
That's the problem.
Is that Fortnite is on multiple platforms, and so that's combined CCU, and so we don't know PUBG's combined CCU between Steam and Xbox, but it could be very high. Their all-time peak, they hit 3.2, and they're still, hovering 2.7 was their 24-hour peak. So, PUBG is still way up there, and could very well be more than Fortnite when it comes to combined players with Xbox. But I mean, regardless, like, both of these games seem to have, like, Fortnite being on that level is kind of incredible, given that PUBG had to grow to that. Like, PUBG has been out at this point for nearly a year, since they launched. Right. And so, like, PUBG was, I think, actually a pretty fast burn in terms of their growth. Like, they kept growing. For Fortnite to already be where they are, though, with I mean, I don't even remember when Fortnite came out, but it's really new. Mm-hmm. For them to be there already is pretty wild. So.
Yeah. I mean, we also have to consider Fortnite. There is no, like, it's a free to play. So there isn't even that $30 price tag that PUBG had. But it's still, regardless, it's still crazy impressive. Like, for them to not even be a player in the space as long as PUBG has been, and for them to get there. So,
and it's clear that I feel like they've caught on. Just from what I can glean, is it feels like they've caught on with a youth market.
Yes. Absolutely.
That I'm not, like, really part of, but it just seems like the kind of the colorful palette, the fact that it's kind of a little more cartoony, it feels like they're catching on with a younger player base, which more power to them. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so I mean, with that kind of stuff, obviously they're making their money from microtransactions with, like, skins and stuff like that. And speaking of making money from microtransactions like skins and stuff like that, Activision Blizzard revealed that they earned more than $4 billion on in-game purchases in 2017. $4 billion. That's insane. They earned $7 billion in net revenue in 2017, and $4 billion of that was from microtransactions.
That is, wild.
I don't even know. I don't know what I expected to see, like, out of them. For, like, I mean, I think I would have been impressed with, like, $1 billion. I would have been like, wow, that's crazy. But for it to be more than half of what they earned total, I don't know if I ever would have guessed that. But I guess I should have, when you consider, what the player base was. But
the other thing we have to remember, though, with that number is that that Activision Blizzard now owns King. So they own Candy Crush, and Candy Crush does,
right,
for reasons I cannot comprehend.
Yes, it
does incredible revenues on the App Store. But man, like, the fact that more than 50% of their overall revenue is coming in through in-game purchases is honestly crazy when you look at, like, just how much the market has changed in, I don't know, 5-ish, 6, 7 years. Like, the fact that now you have entire companies that are basically built on sort of these additional revenue streams that you don't even think would be that big. I mean, I play games a lot, and I don't spend much money on in-game stuff. Like, I just don't.
Yep.
But the whole market now is being driven by people buying stuff in games. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's again, part of me, again, it gets back to It reminds me of that conversation we had with Ben Basic, who's very passionate and anti-microtransactions as he works on his own indie game. But we were kind of, my whole take was like, again, I'm not against microtransactions in the sense of if it doesn't change the gameplay. Like I don't really care about skins and stuff like that. And I think there's certain games that do it well and other games that do it, poorly. I definitely don't like hey, buy this game for $60 or get the $80 edition with the DLC. Every DLC pack's $20. I don't like that stuff. But I mean, with something like Overwatch, where it's purely cosmetic, I know they have loot crates and stuff like that to be able to get it, but I don't really have an issue. But I guess even with an example like Overwatch and Blizzard, who are doing it, I guess as right as you can, in a certain sense. I mean, we can get into like the whole gambling aspect and young kids playing it and doing all their stuff, but it then just continue. I mean, like when these headlines come out and all the games that we dislike or franchises that we dislike that are doing microtransactions, they look at this and they go, Activision Blizzard made $4 billion. Like, man, we really got to step up our game, and that's unfortunate, because then it's like, for the players that do it well, okay, for as many as that are like Activision or Blizzard in general, I'll stop saying Activision Blizzard, but that maybe have some kind of morality, if you can call it that, with it, to be like, okay, we're just going to keep this on skins and not change gameplay. There's so many other players that don't care about any of that stuff. And so it's like, I don't know. Is it better? Is it good for the space? I mean, we're never going back, which we talk about all the time, right? I mean, it's impossible at this point.
I think it's like one of those. I mean, this is one of the reasons like when we're talking about Battalion, it's like part of me likes the idea of having just like a $15 game straight up that I just own forever, and I'll be able to play it, and if it's still going in 3, 4, 5 years, I will still be able to play it for that same $15. But on like the other part of me realizes that if that game is to be successful, there's no chance that like that one $15 purchase is going to pay all the bills for that game to have a long lifespan. And so I'm sort of conflicted, because we have examples where it's done very poorly, and examples where it's done well. And I think that's sort of that's a fine line that you have to figure out. But I think if you're trying to develop a game, let's say Battalion, and you're not at least thinking about how do we make recurring revenue streams to keep this game alive? I mean, I personally, as a player, like the idea of just one-time payment, done, I can play forever. But like the economics at a certain point just don't make sense to at least not think about having in-game stuff to buy, because people will buy it. And so you might as well give yourself the best chance at success. And that's sort of the camp I'm in, where I don't have a problem with these existing if it helps fund games that I love and I don't have to buy them. Like, I think it's cool that I paid for Overwatch one time. I'll probably never buy anything in Overwatch, but I'll be able to play that game in 5 years for the same $60 I paid for it.
Yeah.
But other people are basically paying for that game to continue getting better and better because they are willing to pay for stuff in game. So it's, I mean, you're right that like there's no going back. So it's kind of just arguing for the sake of arguing. But it's, I think it will continue to serve as a point of contention though in the gaming space, because I'm sure we will continue seeing people do it poorly, and that always disappoints me, because that's a quick way to lose trust in your player base really fast. And I think it takes a long time to build up trust enough that people don't mind, and don't feel like they're being taken advantage of. So Blizzard is like the example of doing that pretty well. And so cool. They're making like $1 billion from this, probably on the Blizzard side. Now, granted, a lot of their stuff comes from Candy Crush, which maybe like that's not on the so good side. So, I don't know. It's like it's not all roses, even for Activision Blizzard.
Yeah,
but they're making a lot of money, so their shareholders are happy, I'm sure.
It's true. It's not going anywhere. All right, I guess we're gonna get some quick hits here, right? Got a few different ones. I'm not even gonna touch it. I mean, Brandon, you've been so on fire with the segues. I'm just gonna.
I thought Ying was supposed to have this segue down.
Was this Ying's segue here? I don't even remember.
This is Ying's time to shine.
Oh, I thought you wanted this one. I thought it was whoever was going to do the Activision Blizzard article was going to transition into this one.
Oh, look at this, shirking responsibility.
Listen, I'm just concerned about getting us the highest quality transition that we can get.
Brandon has been on fire, so maybe you should just take it. You've been killing it.
All right, belaboring a segue makes it a bad segue.
That's true. Fair.
See, now I'm on the spot. Well, look, we had an article about Activision Blizzard making $4 billion in in-game purchases, and our next article is just about the largest, according to Activision Blizzard, the largest PC launch in Activision history. So,
yes,
you look, put the segue together yourself. Point is, Activision Blizzard has been doing a lot of big things. Destiny 2, it's interesting. Because I think Destiny 2, at least for me, has fallen off quite a bit. I have kind of lost interest in it a little bit. But I'm that PC player base. According to Activision, is their largest launch in history. Which I guess if you consider, I guess they say Activision here, so I'm thinking that they're not referring to Blizzard games because I feel like Blizzard would have had larger launches.
Yeah, definitely.
But regardless, like Activision does Call of Duty, and Call of Duty, while not really a major player in the PC space, still back in the day sold a ton of PC copies. So for Destiny 2 to be the largest PC launch in Activision history, it's a pretty big deal. They say it's the largest PC launch based on units, and that the first expansion had a higher attach rate than the first expansion for the original Destiny, which is pretty impressive because, the original Destiny did really well. I don't know, Ying, I feel like you're kind of our resident Destiny correspondent.
Right.
What say you here?
It's not surprising, because I think it's an interesting dynamic because the idea that the first expansion had a higher attach rate, I think, is actually due to the fact that the base game has some inherent flaws that Bungie is still recovering from. So I guess the disclaimer is first that I actually really do like what the game has. But the issue, and they do address it, is that the game is much less of a grind than the original Destiny. And as a result, people burn through the content, I think, a lot faster than what Bungie was expecting. And I'm wondering if that probably influenced the sales of the DLC, of people hoping that it would offer them, more content to go through, and it really didn't. So right now, if you follow the state of Destiny 2, there are positives to take away from it, but the game right now is struggling. Right now, if you were to go and follow Destiny 2, it's mostly the community manager Deej, trying to keep every venue of communication constant with the current player base and people who are following the game. It's been a lot of roadmaps. It's been a lot of streams where they're breaking down exactly what they're introducing and then acknowledging that this is what people have been saying and this is what they're doing to reach that stage. In that sense, it's hopeful. But I think the worry is how many people are they actually going to be able to bring back by the time their new season and new DLC drops. They even, over the past month or two, have seen streamers, like large streamers who have been providing a lot of the content for Destiny, separating their brand from the game. And there was a really well-written article that I was trying to track down. I don't remember where I saw it, but essentially streamers making very strictly business-based decisions to separate their brand from Destiny because there just isn't enough content for them to create from it. How they're basically the overall feel was, how many videos can we possibly make about things that Destiny 2 needs to fix before we want to come back? So you see a lot of these big streamers branching off to other games that they either built their stream off before or newer releases that they feel they can get fresh content from. And that again speaks to the idea that the game has the set pieces that I think are fun and enjoyable for people who are looking for this kind of a game, but you will burn through the base content very quickly. And you'll find yourself sort of repeating the same activities with not a very inspiring incentive to play it over and over again. I mean, I myself have fallen off of Destiny pretty hard, and I played that game almost exclusively for the first month maybe say first 2 months that it was out. But there's just nothing that's bringing me back to it, even though I do enjoy a lot of elements of the game.
Well, I think the fact though, for me, I'm kind of surprised that it had a higher attach rate than the original Destiny, because that means on a per copy basis, it had a higher relative percentage of people that bought the expansion. I didn't buy the expansion because I mean, I enjoyed playing Destiny 2. I think I got my money out of it, but I kind of fell off it, and that was before the expansion even came out. So when the expansion came around, I was like, I don't know that I want to pay another $20 to keep playing Destiny. So I didn't buy it. But the fact that more players on a percentage basis bought the first expansion of Destiny 2 than did Destiny 1, tells me that apparently they did have a lot of people really hungry for that content. And I'll be curious to see if they can keep it up, because I think I agree with everything you said, that it seems like it's having trouble, but also, I mean, at least from the numbers, it doesn't sound like it's having trouble. They're still breaking all the records. And so, they have another expansion, I think, launching in May, which, I mean, for me, I guess if you love Destiny, you're probably really looking forward to the expansion. I'm thinking about it the other way, wow, they're already launching another expansion in a few months.
Yeah.
But I guess that, again, going back to the kind of the in-game revenue stuff, it's running a game of the scale of Destiny, you can't do it off of one $60 purchase. So they have to keep making new content and getting people to buy the content. And so I don't know. I think
I think the game is still worth following right now, especially because their community manager has been doing a lot to try to keep everyone up to date. I mean, I'm trying. There's not too many examples that I can think of right now where the studio's communication is trying to be so upfront and apparent. It more or less is going to come down to what they actually do, but they're being transparent enough that they're holding themselves accountable, at least. It'll be interesting to see where it comes from in that sense, at least.
Yeah, I think they seem to be doing the right. Well, I don't know if it's the right thing, but they seem to be pretty open with releasing their development roadmap and trying to appease all of the players. But as you said, it kind of depends on the delivery there, because I think the communication is just the first part. Then you actually have to make the changes people want to see. And we've seen examples before where that doesn't end up actually being the game people want.
Right.
It's the game they think they want, and then it actually isn't, and they stop playing anyway. So, but Destiny 2 obviously doing very well. I'm really glad they put it on PC, and I'm glad that it's the largest PC launch in Activision history, because that means hopefully they will continue thinking about putting games on PC, first and foremost when they have new franchises or sequels coming out. I think this is really good news for PC players, because the numbers are clearly there to support the PC as a platform for a game like Destiny. So I think that's hopefully good news for future Activision releases, and and other big companies that obviously take note of kind of how Activision does when they release their big AAA games. And speaking of Red Dead coming out soon, and we don't know if that's gonna be on PC, hopefully everyone sees that the PC is a very viable platform that is worth being on. So that's what I hope people take from from the Destiny story. Oh,
segue, because I think he added.
there we go.
Isn't the Surge what's it called? Dark Souls with robots in space or something?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, not in space.
From what I've watched, I don't really know much about it. But.
Right. I say we hit this with the last time we had a podcast mishap, and we all just do some laughter and then we just pick up where we left off. All right, 3,
Okay.
2,
All right,
1.
count it down.
That's a good one, Brandon.
If you think I'm editing this podcast just to get rid of like a handful of seconds of silence, you are sorely mistaken.
Never happening.
KB, tell us about the Surge 2.
Yes. I will. Oh my god, I can't wait. No, no, I didn't play this. Well, I played it for a little bit. Yeah, these next 3 quick hits, the last 3, I'm gonna be occupying your ears for a little bit. I'm sorry, everybody, but I'll blow through these pretty quickly. So the Surge came out last year. It was a Souls-like game, which I thought was pretty fun. Tim played it a lot, and it's getting a sequel. And similar to how they announced the first game, all we have right now is a screenshot. That's pretty much it. That's all they gave us the first time, and now they're hinting at the game being taken to a larger kind of city setting. And one of the core mechanics in the first game was breaking off the limbs of characters and getting their armor sets from, different glory kind of kills. But they're going to be expanding on that. And so yeah, Surge was Lords of the Fallen was the team's first attempt to cash in on Dark Souls, which is a pretty bad game. Surge was pretty fun though, because they kind of found their own identity. So hopefully Surge 2 builds upon that. And yeah, next up, Metal Gear Survive. Despite just universal hype behind this game, everyone loves another Metal Gear.
Absolutely. Especially, people are huge fans of Konami in general. So,
yeah, it's
of course.
Didn't they get #1 company for 2017?
They did. They actually beat out Comcast, believe it or not, this last year for #1.
What an upset!
Yeah,
wow,
that's crazy.
But yeah, if you want to get your hands on Metal Gear Survive, which, as much as I don't support this game or Konami, I heard fun. I'll be honest. Heard it was a fun game. They won't be getting a penny from me, but it will be getting an open PC beta from February 16th to the 18th. So definitely check that out if you want to have a legitimate opinion on the game, being someone who's actually played it instead of watching a couple of hot takes on YouTube. Suddenly you're all into it. Anyways,
can you do one of your YouTube treatments except never play the game? Like, don't purchase it, just go off of like trailers and people's comments.
Yeah, I'll do a complaint department, but
please, do it.
A second of footage. Yeah,
it's like by the way, I never played it, but
hello and welcome to the complaint department. It's just a picture of Konami's office, and then the video ends. That's all you really need.
That would be good. That would be good.
And so yeah, next up, our last quick hit, Evo, one of the biggest, if not undisputedly the biggest fighting game tournament of the year. They did a live show announcing the lineup of games coming for Evo 2018, and much to few people's surprise, not really my surprise. Well, I was surprised by this. They showed the lineup, and it did not include Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which, in my personal opinion, I don't like the game. A lot of people don't like the game. I think right now on Steam it's sitting at 30 players. Its most recent tournament attendee count has been pretty lacking compared to other games. And yeah, so because of all that backlash, for the first time in 18 years, Marvel is not going to be making a main appearance at Evo, which is a pretty ballsy move.
Now no one's going to be able to spam wins Marvel.
Oh,
which is really the value of having Marvel versus Capcom in the tournament in the first place.
Right. Well, I will say
people now be able to spam it forever because it will never come.
Yeah,
and so
that's true. It'll become a meta meme.
Right, exactly.
A meta meme. Yeah,
you're right. Actually, maybe this is the right timeline.
Yeah. A lot of people did say, like tournament organizers said, don't worry, Marvel is still going to have a scene at Evo. There will be smaller tournaments to play, but it won't be part of the main Evo stream. And taking its place, which is well fucking deserved, Dragon Ball FighterZ, infinitely better game. See what I did there? You see what I did there?
Oh, yes. Well done.
Wordplay.
Good job.
Yeah. Because I know I've seen a lot of memes of just Dragon Ball Z anime deaths where it's Dragon Ball fighters killing Marvel. Like there's countless of those videos. So yeah, change your copy pasta, get your Wins Dragon Ball ready, and yeah, get ready to watch that instead. I have no doubt in my mind that game will have a huge presence at EVO.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Dragon Ball Fighters at EVO. As someone who, like, I don't really follow fighting games super closely, except when it comes to big tournaments like EVO, and so it'll be fun to see how good the top tier players are after the game's only been out, a handful of months. EVO's usually in July, so a game that will have been out like 5-6 months by EVO. To see what the skill level looks like, I think is always super fun.
Right, exactly. And on that topic of time between release and EVO, another interesting choice. BlazBlue is an anime fighter, really big in Japan, that has always recently been showing up EVO after EVO. And oddly enough, BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, which will be coming out a total of, I think, 2 or 3 weeks before EVO happens, is part of the lineup instead of Marvel, which is certainly, you could make the argument that you don't know what that game, if it's going to flop or not, but for sure that Marvel flopped, and so definitely some controversy going on about some players who have gotten sponsored to play at EVO, sponsored for Marvel, and then logging on and seeing that they're basically fucked. So
I mean, who would have ever thought making Chun-Li's face so fucked up would destroy your game?
Yeah,
that's it.
You
don't fuck with her face, dude. That's it.
Yeah, I gave that game the honest 2-hour try, and it was substantially boring. Yeah, it's just no passion in that game. It really hurts. Sort of like the Wendy's employees who didn't put any passion into their.
Nope. That's true. Nope.
Yeah, maybe not that bad, but All right, so moving right along, we've got some new releases here. A pretty good week this week.
Nice.
First up is Secret of Mana, which is the full 3D remake of Secret of Mana from 1993.
Okay.
It's fully 3D. It's got voice acting. Whether or not it's good, it's not even a factor. I mean, it's undoubtedly going to not be that good.
$40. Wow, crispy.
Yes,
We're
yeah.
not fucking around.
Yeah, we'll be launching at 40. And yeah, I didn't get a chance to play Secret of Mana as a small boy, but it looks like I'd be excited about an overhaul this big if I played the game growing up. It's one addition I love in this.
1993, this game's older than you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely want to check it out. I do like how the in the game the mini map is just the Super Nintendo game up there in the top right. I like that. That's cool. But yeah, that comes out February 15th. If you're a big fan, check it out. Next up is, now I don't know anything about this, but apparently this is getting a lot of attention.
What the hell is this? $60 RPG from a studio I've never.
Yeah, debut game from the studio. It's called Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Huh.
Now, I'm not too sure about this, but I know that Tim, Staffu Noob, he's hype about it. He says it looks really fun. He's going to pick it up day one. But I haven't seen any gameplay. I've seen the trailers. It doesn't. I'm not really sure, but it's a story-driven open-world RPG that immerses you in an epic adventure, and that's just a purchase right there if they're going to offer that. It's award-winning, best PC game for Gamescom 2017. Wow, how did I not know about this?
Yeah, I feel like I saw this name, but I haven't really heard anything about it since it might have been at Gamescom. It looks like a pretty game. I mean, the screenshots look really nice.
Yeah.
But I do think asking $60, that's like a tall order.
That's true. Yeah, I like looking at the bullet points. It says it's got a non-linear story, so you can solve quests in multiple ways, then face the consequences of your decisions. Really, it seems to be the Dark Souls of story-driven open-world RPGs. So, and with that, I'm leaving the call.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean by that.
But yeah, if you're curious, if you're hype, February 13th, is when that drops. Check it out.
If you don't want to go, on a Valentine's Day date instead, why don't you just buy your girlfriend or boyfriend Kingdom Come Deliverance? You can enjoy
Easy.
Valentine's Day in the Holy Roman Empire.
Listen, you will be kingdom coming with your significant other for
Oh
a
my
long
God.
time.
That was good. That was good.
I don't know. That's the DLC. It's Kingdom Coming. Oh boy.
Right.
CUMMING, of course. Because clearly, looking at this reminded me. I obviously thought Skyrim, obviously just setting and stuff, but some of the lock picking and all that.
It certainly has I feel like it has a Skyrim vibe, even though it's like the setting is not Skyrim, but you certainly feel like there's some Skyrim inspiration here.
And everybody knows that if you're going to play Skyrim anymore, you're playing it on the PC with all of the highest res textures and 90 gigs of the sex mods. So this game definitely going to go that way if it lasts any amount of time. So
fully uncompressed nipple textures.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yep.
So all right. Next up is so there's this game called The Fall. Came out in 2014. People call it the best game of all time, a really dark game, a true hidden gem.
Best game of all time. Really?
Who are these people?
That's a review from Indie Game Mag. The Fall is one of the best games I've played. I don't know. That's just I'm trying to say a lot of people have given it.
Liked it. Okay.
Yeah, really high praise. A modern classic from That Nerd Show. So, take their opinion however you want. But yeah, that's finally getting a sequel 4 years after the game's release, which I think a while ago, The Fall is one of those free games you got for PS Plus. So I still need to check it out. It's just sitting there. But interesting. Definitely check that out if you're a fan of the first one. I got to give it a try. It looks interesting.
Literally, one of the screenshots just shows the character you play, which is like this, I guess, AI android woman, blonde with huge tits, and it says "seduce the human" is the puzzle. I mean, so I might have to play this. Literally, I'll have to find the screenshot. Here it is. Yeah.
Oh, I see it. There you go.
See that one? Look at that.
Now I see what they mean.
Yeah.
Modern classic.
Spicy.
You thought Sexy Serial Killer was really pushing the bar. Yeah, February 13th is when that comes out. Another indie game that looks promising is this game is called Roguemance. It is a roguelite with romance. Each battle is a date, meet love interests, fight relationship problems, and make heartbreaking decisions.
Oh,
which it's got some great pixel art. It looks like a cute game. So I'm not no word on the price yet. I don't know if I'd put too much of an investment on this, but
literally releasing on Valentine's Day. I mean, talk
today.
about opportunistic, but hey, I mean, more power to him.
Right, there you go.
I was gonna say, I blew my Valentine's Day joke too early. There's actually
there's a
game coming out basically geared toward Valentine's Day purchases.
Yeah, exactly.
God. Not this one, KD. This last one.
But this game actually sounds like the Roguemance game. Sounds like the game you would buy on Valentine's Day if you're single,
right?
Because that's you're meeting love interests. Like you don't want to make your partner uncomfortable. If you already have a significant other. So
right. So yeah, February 14th. I'm definitely gonna give it a try. It looks, it looks up my alley. For no reason than me being single, of course. Of course. All right.
There's no anime girls though, so
yeah, that's a huge negative. I might have to take it off the wish list. All right. So this last game, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. I'd like for all of our live viewers to
everybody click on it first before
read
you
along
say
at home. If you're an audio listener, after I say the title, you can look it up, read along with us if it's still on Steam, because I don't know how many stolen assets or stolen art they have in this game. But this game is called The Ugandan Warrior, or Do You Know the Way?
Oh my God.
And you play as a Knuckles, made famous from VR chat of the racist Ugandan warrior meme. The description reads, "Cluck, cluck. My brave and fat Ugandan warrior. Spit on your enemies and find a way." And another quote from the About This Game says, avoid enemies, spit on them, collect T-pods, which is the main collectible in this, are a bunch of Tide Pods, which it's funny. It's topical. Another great quote. Don't forget, my Bruda, it is not gay if it is the way. And so then we've got a little homophobia coming out.
It's so bad. It's so terrible.
Yeah, this is literally what people mean when they say that the Steam publishing price should have been higher.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, this is example number one.
And the thing that is really disappointing is that I think if this went on to Steam Greenlight, it still would have gone through. People would have voted for it.
Yeah, people would have voted.
What's really mind-boggling about this is that you've got the shamelessly, like, the creature from Spirited Away there. You've got Sheeb. You've got Barry from the Bee Movie. And then you look at the pixel art, and it's actually not that bad pixel art, like, for the game. Yeah. Which really makes you wonder if that's stolen as well. You know, so...
A human being spent their time making this.
Yeah.
This was the way someone had to put in what I assume is significant effort.
Maybe even multiple people. Maybe a team of people.
I mean, you have the developer, Uganda Games, published by Uganda Tribe Incorporated. Shockingly, this is their only game.
Speaking of, I mean, you want to talk about opportunistic. Like, I thought Fortnite made a good pivot, but this is a whole other level of trying to capitalize on current trends.
Oh, man. And if you just go on Steam and you type in Uganda, you see this. You see a game called Uganda No the Way. You see President Trump the Way in Uganda. And... wow, I agree. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, putting a meager $100 limit on the gate for anything to make it on Steam. This developer in particular, if you can even call it that, the one behind President Trump the Way in Uganda, where it's Donald J. Trump climbing trees collecting Bitcoin. It's Ghost RUS Games.
I mean,
they've got Fidget Spinner in Space. Deep Gadgegasm. Just why are they saying this? I can't wait for them to get nuked.
Basically, like, here's the thing. You just have to be very careful going into the search function on Steam. Like, you need to have some semblance of an idea of what you're looking for on Steam, because if you search, you are going to get just results that you never would expect.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I mean, you say hidden gem, you know, it could be taken a number of different ways, like these games.
Absolutely.
God,
it should be more hidden.
It should be on the dark web. Oh my God, they did a game called Gay World. Okay.
We're done. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Okay, yep.
All right. Well, let's move on from that. Thank you for the new releases, KD.
Aside from that, pretty solid week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You know,
I'm not going to thank you for the new releases.
Yeah, I kind of blew it there. Yeah. It was going all right, and then I had to spread awareness for what Steam is becoming.
First viewer question comes from Darkwing02 on Twitter, and he gives us this conundrum: 50 eagles, 10 crocodiles, 3 bears, 7 bulls, 1 man with a gun, possibly a hardballer, 15 wolves, 10,000 rats, 5 gorillas, 4 lions. Pick 2 groups of animals to protect you, and the rest will try to kill you. Wow.
You know, having hardballer with the gun is somehow the most and least dangerous.
It sounds like
because he might accidentally kill you. That's
exactly.
why
it's like picking the roulette option.
Or everything could go well, and he's actually a great, marksman.
I mean, I'd like to believe.
All right, let me break this down. I think hardball one, yes, having someone with a gun, that's great, but you don't know how much ammo you have, and also, if they're all coming to kill you at once, then it's a non-starter. You're not going to be able to kill them all at once because sheer volume is going to overtake you.
Right.
Now,
the thing
go
is,
ahead.
I feel like this all hinges on how well you can train any of these. Like, are we saying these are just like wild animals in cages and you just let them all out? Because like,
well, they will to protect you, like in the same way that
I think the point here is that there are two groups. The ones that you pick will actively protect you, and the rest will actively try to kill you.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, you got to suspend your disbelief.
Yeah, I think so. So you got to assume the people that are the animals that are defending you they know what they're doing, or they're at least they'll fight for you.
I was thinking about this, and I mean, our first instinct is to try to pick the things like individually are the most dangerous. Like, I immediately look at 5 gorillas. Like, 5 gorillas could do a lot of damage. Like, gorillas, if they're wound up, like that's insane. And I originally I glazed over what I think I would go with the 5 gorillas, and for my second choice, I glazed over it at first. But
I know what you're gonna say.
I think you have to go with the 10,000 rats.
10,000.
That is 10,000 rats that are actively trying to like
10,000 rats was actually going to be my first, because I don't care how powerful you are. 10,000 rats just nipping and trying to rip. You're done. They'll pick your bones.
Is going to be a problem. Like,
that's why I'm wondering. Like, are you just talking 10,000 normal rats, or are these 10,000 trained rats to protect you?
Those are 2 different things. Defensive rats, dude.
If they're like trained to protect you, then it's obvious. 10,000 of them?
That's like crazy amount.
Because like after that, the biggest problem that you have to deal with is 50 eagles.
Right.
But like there's 10,000 rats protecting you.
Gorillas don't really have that good of
10,000 of anything is going to be a problem for something.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like I feel like the worst choices are like the gorillas, maybe the bears, maybe the lions, because there's so few of them that you can overrun them with volume. Like the eagles, but
the gorillas have intelligence.
The eagles are so clearly like the next best option, because 50 of them, like 5 gorillas, 5 eagles that are trying to kill a gorilla, they will destroy that gorilla.
You look at these options, you're like, 10 crocodiles. That's not bad. But then I just imagine standing on this hill, looking at this ocean of rats that spreads out to the horizon. Like, come on, you gotta throw it on.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to put them in the opposite position. Like, never mind protecting me. 10,000 of absolutely anything that wants to kill me is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's true. I think you go for the volume
except
play.
for maybe 10,000 goldfish. That might be okay. We might be able to deal with that.
Actually, I think maybe you go with the 10,000 rats and the man with the gun. Because then, if for some reason the rats can't take something down, you have that line of last defense that's like complete stop.
Right. Okay.
I don't know if I could work well with Hardballer though. We'd be fighting, and he'd be like, "Did you know that eagles are the smartest bird? You didn't know that?" I'm like, Hardballer, this really is not.
Here's the thing. I don't think they gamble as whether or not he's like Hardballer is going to work out. The question is, one man with a gun, possibly Hardballer. So you don't know if it's Hardballer until this whole thing starts.
Right. And we don't know how much ammo he has too. Like, I don't know if you can kill like. You have to have great aim.
It's a guy. It's a human being, right? So you can at least you can communicate with this person and say, all right, if the rats can't handle it, that's what I want you to shoot. So
I think actually the 15 wolves is maybe also a good option, because I feel like you want something with teeth. Like you want something that's going to be able to inflict like serious damage very quickly. And I feel like the gorilla, like one-on-one, gorilla is probably like a solid choice. But when you have like, let's say you have 3 wolves for every 1 gorilla, like I think those wolves will kill that gorilla.
I don't know, man. If that gorilla is charging at you, you got to have a tank on your team.
Gorillas are just so scary. Like
in the wild.
Yeah. You got to have that defense. I'd probably go with the gorillas and the mice. Because like if the bear is coming at me and all I have are eagles and rats, nothing's going to stop that fucking bear. Like they'll probably chip away at its flesh like over time. But that's after they've tackled me and are mauling me.
I do feel like 10,000 rats is a little excessive. Like if they had put 1,000, I'd maybe have to question. But 10,000, I mean, you could literally kill 3 bears by like dropping 10,000 rats on them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's right. Yeah,
thousands of pounds of rats.
They just start forming walls around you, like you have a rat
you could make a
fortress.
rat house.
You would suffocate them under the rats.
Yeah, like
That's what I mean. Like
a rat ball and chain.
It's not even about the ferocity of the rats at this point. It's just 10,000 of something. Like that's logistically a problem.
Yeah. I think I'm going with. I think I'm either going with the rats and the guy with the gun. That was not bad, or the rats and the eagles, just because 50 eagles, which are nasty anyway. Because then you have the aerial. So like the eagles coming in, let's say they're going to be distracting the other, like let's say the lions or whatever else, and then you got 10,000 volumes of rats that are like. How do you deal with that as anything else left here? Do you know what I mean?
Also, and the eagles, the eagles are scouting. Like 50 eagles, you'll have a few miles of vision.
Yeah, you can see they got you covered. You're not. No one's going to sneak up on you.
Creed Origins, you can't see what the eagle sees.
I mean, like,
no, but I'm saying the eagles
too is that
look, the eagles communicate with each other, and then one eagle is on the ground communicating with the rats. Okay, look, I don't know how the animal kingdom works.
Exactly.
I'm saying that like the biggest problem as these 50, with these 50 eagles is that they're going to drop the Vince Lombardi trophy on you because they just won the Super Bowl.
Oh my!
That's an added bonus. Can we all agree that I think the worst choice here is the 7 bulls?
Yeah.
Bulls have poor eyesight. They have to they have to get running, and so like most of these creatures are pretty agile. Like I think bull seems like the worst option.
Yeah, they just charge at you. That's it.
They charge at you, and like I mean one little wolf gnawing on a bull's leg, and the bull's done.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'd probably go with the rats and the gorilla because you need to have some kind of defense. I mean, you really consider everything that's coming at you. And that this gorilla's going like a pentagon formation. You're in the middle playing landscape on your laptop. The rats are going crazy.
He wants to make like a phalanx out of these gorillas.
Yeah, exactly. They're picking up rats and they're throwing them.
Oh, that's actually not a bad. That's not a bad point though, because gorillas are probably capable of being more accurate with throws, and so you not only have rats charging the animals killing you, but the gorillas can use the rats as projectiles.
Yeah, I mean, rats. You can't even consider like the biting. Like, can you imagine the pitch that a gorilla has, just like from the impact of some rats and a ball? Yeah, that's enough to break skin, dude.
Being pelted by rats thrown by gorillas. If you want to have $100, we can make this game on Steam.
It exists. I'm sure it exists. It's like Battle Royale or something. I'm not kidding. Hold on. There's some game where you set up waves of armies. Like you have like 20 soldiers and 1 million penguins going at them, and they're just mowing them down.
Isn't there a game where you can simulate that, where it's literally
like
you can just
battle simulator or something, right?
Yeah, and you literally can just drop in whatever and see what happens. Or,
yeah.
Oh my god! Hold on, got to do that. Be interesting. Try to answer this question if possible. If you can put 10,000 rats in.
We got.
Does the technology exist for this, for us to test this yet?
Yeah, because
it does. Yeah, with this game, great. It's Battle Beasts.
Battle Beast. That's right.
And what a game.
All right. Well, good question. That's a doozy. Good discussion around that. Next one comes from Noah but no Arc on Twitter. And he asked us, what video game romance was the most convincing to you? And or what 2 characters would you like to see a romance of? Can be cross-franchise.
Oh, man.
Most
I think for the most convincing to me, it was Geralt from The Witcher and Yennefer. They actually like that. I mean, they wrote in the dynamic between those two, and it felt very like they were well suited to each other in like a weird dysfunctional way.
Okay. Good answer. Man, what do I want to see? I would love to see Sonic motorboating Lara Croft's titties. Is that just me? Am I the only one? I don't know. That's just what comes to mind.
No, probably not the only one.
I mean, again, and I'm assuming that the reason I'm thinking about that is I probably watched it in some Rule 34 GIF or something way back in the day, and I don't know.
Do it with his feet.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, he's kicking the fun bags at incredible speeds. But because I mean, it depends on what era Laura Croft we're talking about too.
Them.
I mean, well, he's not
What
kicking
pleasure
them.
is he getting?
I don't know. He's fucking Sonic. He's weird as hell, dude. I don't know what he's into.
Yeah, it really would make sense for Sonic to not have a foot.
What if it's not pleasuring himself? What if he's pleasuring Laura? She loves, like, I don't know, the speed. I don't know. Gotta go fast.
I feel
man.
like a hedgehog's that fast. I mean, you're gonna encounter bodily injury because he can't control it. He's only got one speed. He's either stationary or he's going fast.
But what era Lara Croft are we talking about? We're talking about with her triangle, like, fake titties in the very early versions of the game, because those things were fake. So she's not feeling. I mean, they're just like, you know what I mean? That's just silicone or whatever else.
I mean, I feel like I feel like you're focusing in on something that ultimately doesn't matter when you have a hedgehog's feet going hundreds of miles an hour.
You're probably right.
He's gonna rip through a chest cavity.
Yeah. All right. Well. Okay. All right. Well. Somebody else give me one. I share my intimate wants and needs. Somebody else give me something else. All right. Maybe that's what I'm into. All right.
I really thought that in Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake and Ava, like,
okay,
Big Boss and Big Mama, I thought that was a great couple. But I'm trying to. I feel like there's an obvious answer I'm missing. Like, like the two, like Ellie and that one girl in The Last of Us. That was a really convincing romance.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll probably go with either of those two.
Okay.
I don't really know. Nothing really comes to mind that I think of as like a video game romance that I paid particular attention to.
Okay.
But I would say the characters I want to see a romance of. I mean, yeah. I definitely the first thing that popped in my mind was like Sonic and something.
I'll throw this out there.
That's what I mean.
Cuphead Mugman. Get them together.
Ooh, okay. Now we're talking.
Interesting.
Yeah. Listen, we need to give, I mean, not that obviously Rule 34, the rule is that if you can think of it, it already exists, but try to come up with a combo that maybe doesn't exist and give these people more work.
Yeah.
Getting and creating it. So that's the goal.
Let's take the dog from Resident Evil 4. And,
okay.
Well.
Wow. All right, never mind. Put him with the Cyber Demon from Doom. Dude.
Okay.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay.
That's hot. Literally.
Yes.
Hey, it's that dog.
Cyber Demon. Sonic and a Cyber Demon.
Cyber Demon and the tank from Left 4 Dead. Can you even imagine?
Oh my god.
How sexy that would be.
That's crazy.
What's that monster from Doom that has like the gun on each hand and the one eye that kind of waddles around? Think that guy? Put him with the entire cast of Sakura Swim Club. Don't even lie and say you wouldn't watch that shit.
Now we're talking, Katie. That's what I mean. I have not seen that anywhere on the internet. That needs to be made. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. If someone in chat said Link and Zelda, I don't really see that one as a convincing relationship.
No.
Because a lot of times, like, it doesn't really seem like, especially in something like Twilight Princess,
yeah,
I don't really see a romance between those two. Like, it just seems kind of, they're obligated to be together. Anyways.
All right. Well, good question from Noah. Thank you. UDP7 asked us on Twitter, is melted ice cream a soup?
Yeah,
no.
Sure. You know what? Why not at this point?
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna say yeah? I was just gonna say no.
There's been so many of these that it's just like, yeah, you know what? Yes. If you want.
Okay. Yeah. We'll just just move on. I mean,
it's really like, what does soup mean to you?
Yeah.
That's the larger question. Do you feel the need to categorize melted ice cream? If so, I suppose soup describes what melted ice cream is at a particular state. If you told me you were having melted ice cream soup, I would know exactly how melted you meant.
Right, but isn't if something is going to be a soup, doesn't it have to start out intentionally as a soup? I mean, I know we're talking about like the state that it becomes, but just because something melts does not turn it into a category of food.
I feel like soup, at least just my common sense thinking definition of soup is the method in which you're eating it.
I guess so.
So you can make anything a soup if you want to put it into a bowl and eat it with a spoon. That is sort of what I think of as soup. But you know, I haven't done any real digging on this. That's sort of how I frame it in my mind. That if you wanted to pour a milkshake into a bowl and eat it with a spoon, I suppose you could call that soup.
God.
I mean, it would be. Let's be clear. It'd be stupid to do that.
It'd be dumb. It doesn't feel right.
These are dumb questions we're answering, but
that's why I've just like become nihilistic about it. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Everything's a soup now. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
If
I blend my turkey sandwich and add water and pour. You know what I mean? Like, but I guess you could make it a soup if it's that texture.
There is a part of me that sort of appreciates trying to find like logical fallacies in what we decide to name things and categorize things. But I mean, I do kind of agree with Ying. It's like you know, I don't know if it's a soup. Like who cares?
The thing is, like, you can call that a soup. I'm still not going to eat it. Right. And I'm not going to be satisfied with it if you say that you're giving me soup and you give me that. So you have to deal with the moral brunt of teasing me with the idea of soup and giving me melted ice cream.
Have we had the debate of whether or not cereal is soup?
Yes, we have. Well, you guys have. I specifically remember this.
Yeah, I think we have.
Let's not visit that tonight. We'll put a pin in that for now and maybe come back.
That's a forbidden topic.
Yeah, that's going to be another 3 hours of us.
I think the real answer to this question is like there's no scenario in which you would just sit and let ice cream melt and eat it intentionally as soup.
Right.
If you are, we have bigger problems than this question.
Bigger issues.
The categorization of what you're eating is not the problem here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. Got it. All right. Well, here, Katie, why don't you take this this email away for us from William or Will Hull, our boy.
Will Hull, yeah. He sent us an email. The title of the email is Shalom. It says, Shalom. Hello, 'tis I yet again, Will Hull. I am a 21-year-old male, and my current occupation is a company welder and pipe fitter. Take that however you want.
Valentine's Day.
And I traveled. Right. And I traveled the U.S. going to major animal kill plants to install ammonia equipment to keep the stuff cold. I don't take part in the processing of meat, but I see it firsthand. The other day I saw a Facebook post saying that becoming vegan or vegetarian is becoming more popular, which I don't disagree with. But they also said that the meat industry is dying. Oh, yeah, right. Seeing the industry firsthand, I can assure them it is not. My question for the cast is, would you ever go vegan or become vegetarian like Papa and Finn? Best, William. Well, thank you for the email, Will Hull. That's a juicy question.
That's a juicy question.
I mean, I don't think the meat industry is dying.
No, I don't.
Yeah, do people actually say that? That's pretty crazy.
I'm curious. I think I could believe that there are people on Facebook saying that.
That's true.
Millennials just don't like steak anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think. If I had I could, but I wouldn't do it by choice.
I would say the farthest I would ever go would be a vegetarian if I had to. And there's vegetarian things that I like, and I feel like that's definitely pretty easy to do in today's world if you want to go vegetarian. But I don't think I would ever go vegan. But I don't see myself ever going vegetarian anyway. But I guess they're saying, would you ever go? So my answer at the moment is no for me personally. But you would, Yang? You would?
Yeah, I've considered it. Not going straight to vegan. I thought about that if I were to try, I would go vegetarian and see how that goes. And if I could continue with it, then I would try vegan. And it would be purely from a moral perspective. The industry for both essentially dairy more than anything, but obviously meat production and dairy are both. I mean, they're pretty cruel if you start digging into it. And so this be purely from a moral drive. And it's not that there's anything about it that's really stopping me. It's just, I mean, my worry is trying and not being able to commit to it. So I don't know. I'm in sort of a weird phase of where it's I'm thinking about it, but I'm not really sure if I'm ready to commit to that just yet, because I mean, obviously that comes with that. There's a lot of lifestyle changes that are going to have to come with that, at least dietary. So yes, I would most definitely, I could see myself doing it in the future. Yes.
Gotcha. KD, Brandon.
While KD's muted and deciding if he actually wants to speak.
That's awkward.
No, I kind of echo the same sentiment. I really admire people that go vegan and vegetarian, but I just don't think it's something that I can right now commit to. But huge respect.
The question is, would you? We're not asking you to
respect
people that do it.
Can you see yourself ever doing it? Is the question.
I could, but I'm really just not sure. I don't think I'm I could convince myself to I don't think I could stay convicted enough. I don't think I could.
You can
cut
say
off
no.
I
think it's not a PR right now. Is as he's thinking about if I say yes, he's having flashbacks to all of the incredible cooking that his father makes for him.
Right.
And he would have to give so much of that up.
Right. I mean, but I know the industry is fucked, but I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could give it up.
That's fair. That's all we wanted. We wanted your bottom line answer.
Right.
That's fair. Okay.
Oh, Katie's in such a fucking dick.
Oh my God.
I mean, people are gonna say that anyway. I don't think this question's
right. Yeah. I'm not winning anybody over.
They're not gonna clip this and use that as their evidence.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, I wouldn't do it by choice. I definitely realize there are many problems with with the meat industry and the way sorts of animal treatment issues. But I'm also pragmatic, and my one decision to not eat meat, personally, other people disagree. I obviously it starts with one person. I get all that, but I enjoy meat. It's I think I would have to change my diet, a lot, and it's just, I mean, I enjoy meat, I enjoy milk, so vegan's like a non-starter. Vegetarian I could maybe do if I had to, but I wouldn't do it by choice. So I mean, unfortunately, those animals are getting slaughtered whether I eat them or not. Because those industries are going to exist as long as other people choose to eat them. So if there was an economic incentive, or I don't know, if it was a dare or something, maybe I could do it. But I mean, I enjoy hamburgers, I enjoy steak. There are many. My quality of life would decrease a lot if I had to really think about not ordering things I enjoyed because they violated this sort of self-imposed constraint. So I get why people do it. It's just not. It's not something I'd do.
Totally. It's I got no problem with people deciding to do whatever they want to do, and I do really like that restaurants and stuff now seem to be a lot more cognizant of dietary restrictions, like vegetarians and vegans and all that, because I think in general it has created a better, it's made a lot more restaurants more cognizant of where their food comes from and all that, which ultimately benefits me, even though I'm eating the steaks and everything. I think it's good that that trend is picking up, because I think it just leads to a larger awareness and a wider range of options when you go to eat somewhere, which I think is awesome. But I'm probably also still just going to order a steak. Yep. Fair enough. All right. Good question from Will Hull, who literally services pipes to kill animals at meat plants. I never knew that. That's good to know. I don't think I've ever met anybody who does that. So you learn new things every day.
Makes you think about like the professions that our listeners have. Like,
yeah, it's always fascinating. Crazy. All right. Well, this is where we have the podcast review of the week, the iTunes podcast review of the week. We do not have one this week, sadly, but if you would like to leave one, just make sure you log into iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating, which is required for us to read anything you would leave, and then go ahead and tell us how we're doing, why you love the cast so much, why it's your favorite podcast, why you tell everybody that you know about the podcast on the regular, why you can't get enough, or you could leave us a poem, or basically almost anything in that box. Just make sure you give us 5 stars and
tell us if you would become vegan or vegetarian in the podcast review box.
That's great. Yeah, answer a previous question. That's good. We should really. I feel like that might actually get more activity, Brandon, if we have people answer the previous episode's questions themselves in the reviews. That's a good idea.
Or tell us your profession. Tell us where you're from and tell us what you do. Give us your social security number.
Exactly. It'll be perfectly fine. And happy. We'll take that social security number and it will be safe with us. We will not read that portion.
Well, we just want to make sure that it's not duplicate review. So it's just exactly. It's like when you call in and they ask for your last 4 of your social. That's all we're doing here.
Exactly. Except we need all. Just to clarify, we need all of your social. We don't need just the last 4. But yes, it's the same thing. We're just verifying with our.
I swear, if anyone actually left their real social security number in a podcast review, I think you probably deserve whatever comes of that.
Yes. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for episode. What are we on? Was that 309? Did I look at that? Wow, 309.
Oh, KD is done.
Yeah,
he is finished.
Oh, he just disappeared. See you later.
He is out of here.
He is Audi 5000. All right. All good. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Appreciate it. Really enjoyed being back and enjoyed the discussion, enjoyed the questions. And, of course, you can check out kbmod.com for, I would say check out the build guides, but as we talked about at length in this episode, it's a little rough.
Yeah,
it's a little rough right
now.
now.
Check them out and then probably don't buy PC parts right now.
Don't do it because it's rough. Yeah. Of course, different articles in the forums and stuff like that on kbmod.com. You can follow KBMOD Gaming on Twitter at KBMOD Gaming. I am at APL Fisher. KDZen is at KDZen_. Volition is at VOL1TION. Yingity Yang is at Yingity Yang, right? That's your Twitter as well. Yes, and yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you guys next week. Farewell.
Yeah.